Alrighty, guys, we are here with episode 13. We're here with Ricky, Chris, Riff, and me. We're gonna get this party started today, right?
What is it, Curtis? What is it?
We're gonna say, why do vendors make us buy everything or nothing?
So that's become, I think, big.
Yeah.
Well,
as of late.
Maybe it's because we're willing to pay, but we'll get into that. We'll get into that. Yeah, it seems more and more as we go to swap meets. I don't know if we've just become known as people who like to buy a lot of stuff. But I feel like when we go to vendor booths, 9 times out of 10, when we try to get, they're like, oh, by the way, I have stuff over here and it's games. They'll look at us and be like, well, you have to take everything. I don't know if you're experiencing that ever, or Ricky. I know I am, so maybe I'll talk about it a little later. But what about you guys? Are you guys getting that a lot when you go?
Dude, we always get it. Those are the stuff we always split. Everyone always goes up like, hey, you want to buy this? It's everything or nothing. And I'm like, all right. Riff will look at me like, you want to go halvesies? I'm like, yeah, that's too much money.
I think this really got popularized around the time when it started to become accepted from YouTube channels too, especially where the people started like telling their audience, back in the day it was collector mentality only, right? Then the little bit of reselling collector mentality became, I'm talking about on YouTube, popularized on YouTube. But a lot of these YouTubers started telling people online, hey, you gotta buy in bulk. You gotta buy in bulk. It's the best way to buy. You can keep what you want to keep, sell what you want to sell, and you end up basically paying nothing, which is true. And I feel like maybe we started offering that out to a lot of vendors, like, hey, how much for everything, right? Popular YouTube thumbnails or shows the table, how much for everything, or I'll take all. What about for everything? And I feel like we've done that so much with vendors and different people at swap meets, conventions, anything, to the point where now I feel like a lot of times it's like low-key expected. Not from a lot of vendors, right? A lot of times if they have a small amount, they won't. I can speak for this weekend when I went to Dusty's booth.
Yeah.
And it was probably the most amount, not money-wise.
So much stuff,
I literally paid Curtis to come to my house.
And sort through, clean, and actually like price it all out. Man, there was so much stuff. He probably had over at least like maybe 300 to 400 items just separately.
Yes.
And that took stakingly hours to do. Like, I'm not even joking.
I paid Curtis like a good 25 cash an hour. Not bad.
He didn't need to do that.
Not bad.
I honestly didn't even tell you to pay me. He goes, just for your time. And I'm like, what are you doing this for?
Time.
So
I do too.
But basically, that was like one of the other examples of it. Like Dusty was basically like, I went to his booth. He had a ton of stuff. He buys from storage units. He's like, I don't want to go through all this. But Dusty actually was very nice to sell me for what he paid. He was like, this is what I paid. Or Chris says it's maybe what he says he paid. You can ask him when he's on the podcast next time.
I will ask him, but he probably won't be truthful with it, to be honest with you.
Dusty, he is calling you out.
Not calling Dusty out. I love Dusty, but I do feel like when he says this is what I paid, I've heard other vendors say that too, and I'm like, really? Like, Dusty, I don't think you sell stuff for nothing.
Bring receipts. All right, what are your thoughts on it? Do you ever do that? I mean, you sell too as well, or he's in a store, it's different. But.
Well, I think the vendors have just gotten smarter. Like, they know that if you're coming through, and we all do this, like, you want to cherry pick out the good games, right? Like, you want to go through a lot. You see a stack of PS2 games, like, you don't want the Maddens, you don't want the garbage games that are in there. You want to pick out the good titles. But I do think that the vendors realize if you come and pick out those good titles, they're never going to sell the Maddens, and they just sit there. So that's why I think that they're going, no, you got to buy all of it. Yeah. They just don't want to get stuck with it. So I think they've gotten smarter and more keen to it.
Yeah, but I also think that, like, in some aspects, they probably don't want to take it back with them. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of their stuff, they're probably like, all right, don't even care to sort through it. Just make a stack and we'll figure it out. Like, that's what I got that sentiment lately, where I'm like, I'm just creating a stack and I'm like, hopefully they don't take an arm and a leg.
Go ahead.
Well, and I think that, like, Dusty is an example where, like, he doesn't want to take that stuff with him. It's just going to probably end up in the trash. He knows you're going to come through, pick out the good stuff. So he's like, no, you're taking all of this.
Bro, he called me, like, yelling at me one time. He's like, why have you not been to my booth yet? And I was like, dude, I'm sorry. Like, you need to get down here. I can't imagine, though, like you said, being a vendor, showing up with a truck full of stuff and happen to load it back in. I can't even, when we sell on Whatnot, I don't even like to bring, when I go to your house, I'm like, I don't want anything back. They'll be like, well, this didn't sell me, we can next week add it to them. I'm like, no, we sell it tonight. I want to take nothing home. I buy in bulk, I need to sell in bulk. Ricky, you were going to say something. What were you going to say, sir?
I was going to say that there's probably a lot of vendors that are just like Dusty, because Dusty, when he comes to the swap meet, he doesn't bring anything back. That's it. Like, he loads it, whatever doesn't go, he's like, dude, I get rid of it.
And we probably should say, Dusty, for anybody listening, our other channel, Pixel Game Squad, our buddy Dusty is on Storage Wars. We buy from him every week there. And he will be on the show next time. He said next time.
I guess
Yes.
another question that I would have is, like, what are some of, like, the advantages and also the drawbacks from taking on such large quantities of items at once?
Cleaning stuff and things not working. As we saw. We saw it
Dude,
about like 4 that we probably bought, what, 9 or 10 consoles in
it
there?
had to be roughly like that. And they were all, like, special edition ones, like, here and there. Like,
How many didn't work?
4. But the good news is they were like special edition type, so you could even for parts,
they were worth it.
they're going to be worth it.
But it was like trying to find the cables, and I think one of the most tedious tasks for me was trying to match the figures with the, like, all the little accessories.
Ricky bought the Pokemon ones for me last
Oh,
night.
did he? Awesome. Yeah, just trying to find all the accessories for, like, Halo and all that stuff. But, like, I have no idea. Like, that's like a 20-year-old figure. I wouldn't really know what little sword goes with what character or what gun that goes to which. With like,
a lot of work.
Yeah, it literally just takes forever.
I feel like that would be brutal. I never thought about the difference between like video game collectors versus toy collectors, because video games universally, like the majority of people can tell you from just poking around, like, okay, that probably fits there. Xbox, cable, that fits with the Sega Saturn, by just kind of poking at it. With toys, when you're given a bag this big of little tiny, like a sword, you're like, how would you know which one that goes for unless you're extremely well versed?
We've had to do this before with large lots of like Star Wars figures. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are one of the hardest, where you have to lay out all of the accessories and go figure by figure and look on like eBay or Google Images and try to find each individual one. It is so tedious.
Yeah, and is that, like, worth it for your time, like, when you're going into that stuff like that?
With some of the older toys, it is, because the accessories are like the figure by itself, and then you add the accessory, could be like triple the value with the accessory.
It's all about that bingo moment, right?
Yeah.
You'll look and you're sitting there, like, even when I bought from Dusty, he's like, there's a bunch of empty Switch cases, take it all. And I'm like, dang, empty Switch cases. I still open them up. I'm like, Mario Odyssey, nothing. And then all of a sudden you open it. Bring Dragon's Lair Trilogy, 100 whatever, $50 game. It's in there, and it's that moment where you're like, this is worth it. There you go. That is because people will be like, yeah, time. Yes, time. But that right there might have taken me 20 minutes, but really I can, make $150 on that. Or if you're collecting it, you're like, shoot, I just got that Grail and got it for basically, if you piece out how many items you bought per, like, got it for like $2.
But the time aspect is key. Like when you're evaluating, like, am I going to buy this whole
why I
thing?
hired help, bro.
Like that lot that you bought off of Dusty
Cheap
was
labor.
like, I mean, it was a huge just rat's nest of wires
Was a
and
nest.
cords, and it needs to be cleaned. And I call it processing it. You're processing, like a trade. Like, for instance, when I bought that VHS store, I look back on it now. There was like 5,000 VHS that we bought, and I had to fly across country. And then there was posters, and there was all this stuff, and we had to take loose VHS tapes and match them up with the box and put them together.
Yep.
The time was like months of time, and I look back at it, and I'm like, I don't know if that was worth it.
What'd you spend? If you don't mind saying.
$15K.
What do you think it was profitable in the end? Not making your money back. I'm talking, do you think there was profit in the end?
Money wise, yes. Time wise, no.
But it all kind of goes together. So if you put money and time together, did you, in the end, say you were paying yourself a wage of, $25 an hour to look through it, did in the end?
Calculating in the time,
Yeah.
I would say it was a loss.
Really?
Yeah, there was a massive amount of inventory. It was awesome to do it, but the amount of time that took, and I didn't realize how much time it was going to take me between getting it, boxing it up, shipping it, then processing it. There was moldy tapes we've been cleaning. Like,
You should have went in half and half with me and Ricky. See, bro, you would have felt a little better about your purchase.
But it is like, the processing time of how quick you can buy something
Yeah.
and then get it back out. Like you guys with Whatnot is a quick processing. It's not sitting on eBay.
Yes.
You're getting it back out. Like that time aspect.
Oh, yeah.
And so when you go back to what we're talking about, which is buying things in bulk, I think from vendors, it's their time. They're like, I want it gone.
Yeah.
And then from our perspective, it's like, man, how much time is this going to take me if I buy
we're
all
like
of
the
it?
Costco version of game hunting now. Like, only buy in bulk. That's the only way we do it.
Yeah. Has there ever been, like, an example of, like, where you didn't financially make any sense to buy it, but you try to maintain that relationship anyway? Like, where it's just like,
Oh, yeah.
I feel like you guys have been doing that.
I do it all. Ricky,
Yep.
And I've
Ricky,
done
why don't
that
you
as
talk
well.
about it too.
Yeah, I've done that before, but I feel like you guys have been kind of hinting at like, oh, I bought this because I just want to keep the relationship going.
Absolutely. Ricky, you can tell him about our relationship with Dusty.
Well, one of the ones we got off Dusty was like a lot of Japanese games and like it was Famicom.
Yeah.
It was all this weird stuff, but we literally broke even on Whatnot. Maybe broke even.
Maybe.
But that doesn't account for the time, the cleaning, posting it up. So it's like it was kind of a loss, but at the same time, it's like it's Dusty. He always holds like has good stuff.
Without doing that, Dusty may not have brought me the lot he did last week, which probably was the biggest financial win for me on that one. There's maybe 7 things I want to keep out of it. One being the big box Sega Master System,
which is sick.
I
can't wait till people get to see that
3D
thing.
glasses, the Zap, the phaser. That'll be. But even in the end, I'll probably make a few grand off that.
I would say that was like the cleanest bit too. All the Sega Master stuff was super clean out of that lot.
But he was desperate. I could tell. He's a new dad. He was tired. So I was like, oh, I can already mess with him. He was a little tired. I could see it in his eyes. Brand new dad. He's like, I bought too much. He's like, just take it for what I paid. And I was like, finally, like a scorpion. I was like, my time.
yeah, because I know you were gonna say something. What were you gonna say?
Well, I was just going to say I've done the same thing where I have bought things with anticipation, knowing that there's probably something further down the road.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody says like, well, I have a huge collection of NES games, but I'm just looking to sell, these junk PS2 games right now or decent PS2 games. Okay, I'll buy those. Maybe I'll break even because I know that there's a better deal down the road.
Yeah.
So,
I had a guy this weekend. There was like a big stack of. It was a Genesis that looked like it was pooped on by every roach on the worst part of the Mexican border. I don't know why he's an example horrible, but it looked like that. And it was like a stack of Madden games, and there was like one uncommon Genesis game. And I searched it up on PriceCharting.com, which is not a sponsor anymore, but still searched it up on
Still friends of the show for sure.
They're great. Searched it up on PriceCharting.com, and I was like, ooh, it's a $40 game. And then I asked him like, how much for the game? And he's like, lot only. And I'm like, why? He's like, everyone's asking about that damn game. What's up with that game? I'm like, it's like a $40 game, bro. He's like, nah, you got to take it all. Don't be stuck with the Maddens. And I was like,
how much did you pay for all of it?
I didn't end up doing it.
Oh, you
I
didn't?
think he wanted like 80 for everything.
See?
But again, with the Genesis looking like it was freaking bean burritoed, people were butt blasting just on that thing. And then it was all Maddens. You can't even sell those. You can't even give them away.
Right.
You can't give away Genesis Maddens.
Yeah, it makes it a little bit more difficult when it's a lot because you have to factor in a lot more.
Yeah.
Cherry picking is always the best and easiest. If you can go up and, I'll take that one, $2, $3.
Yeah. The allure of buying in bulk, though, I get it. Like, say you even as a seller, or say Ricky, you're selling at a table and you're like, okay, I could cherry pick this and I'll make my most money that way. But if it's been a long day or you just want to get moving or take a break and I walk up and you can get $7,000 for everything in your table, but I come up and go, give you $5 cash right now for everything. It's like, ooh, okay. Like I that $2,000 at the end of the day, I gotta leave. I gotta walk away. I don't need that. I get a
Clean slate.
clean slate.
Have you guys bought out whole vendors at conventions before?
Not at conventions. I've tried.
No, not yet.
I've tried. I almost did. There was one guy that had one that was pretty low.
Yeah, Phoenix Resale, right?
We almost bought someone out.
Oh, we did.
Yeah, Chase bought out Phoenix Resale.
Yeah, Chase did that.
We almost bought out a buddy.
Wait, go ahead.
I'm debating if we should have too. It was it was basically a ton of Switch stuff, but again, there was a bunch of that stuff that we just didn't want in there and didn't want to have to process and all that, even though we're not actual store owners. But do we count as store owners?
You're
with
processing stuff now.
Do-
Like
Yeah.
what you had to
Have
do with
whatnot.
Dusty, that's processing. That's a big purchase and you got to go through it all.
That's a big thing on Whatnot. People are big buy from my store. And they're not, but they're not actual store owners. They just have a Whatnot front. Or like an eBay store. Is our Whatnot room considered a store?
In a sense, I would think it is. Yeah.
We got a store.
I got
I mean-
a store. You hear it first, baby.
I mean,
Let's
technically,
go.
I think you guys do provide a service in some aspects, so that is a store.
I'd say we provide entertainment.
Yeah, it is a show, and it's super fun.
We are not sponsored by Whatnot, but if you want to come on a Thursday, we are complete idiots. And I will say 90% of people that watch our mainline videos are always like, where can I buy this stuff? Oh my gosh. Like, so the stuff that we are selling. And I'm like, we've been telling you guys forever, like we're not sponsored, so we don't shove it down your throats, but like we sell this every week. And by the time the video goes out, that stuff's long gone.
Yeah.
So people will come in every once in a while like,
Other than me.
please, do you have that? And I'm like, that has been gone. I'm so sorry. It's been gone months now. But yeah.
Last question on this subject, I guess. What has been like one of the most lucrative deals, like within the past, not like within the last year, that you've actually like made out on, like pretty good?
I bought a bunch out of a suitcase once, and I did pretty good on that. I bought for like $3,500 or something. A homie of mine flew down, sold me everything in suitcases. I think for like $3,500, I probably made like 75 in the end. So pretty much doubled up ish. That was a good one for me.
Yeah. How about you guys?
I mean, I just most recently bought a gigantic. We've been working on this deal for a long time. It's a bunch of like older 90s graffiti t-shirts
Yeah.
that we've been buying periodically over time. They're all dead stock, like 1990s Marvel comics, Image stuff. And I mean, like thousands of shirts. And it's kind of going back to the bulk thing. Like we've been kind of cherry picking out good ones for a long time.
Don't you pick out of the one I'm buying from you, bro. You give me the good ones, all right?
And now the seller is finally kind of at the point where they're like, we're ready to kind of bulk sale this almost at their cost. And it's a lot of stuff that I normally wouldn't buy, but now it's at the price level where I'm like, I think we'll just buy everything.
Where it's like beneficial to you.
Yeah, because we'll move it one way or another. Again, their cost is so low.
Yeah.
But we started off with that cherry picking, and now it's just buy everything.
And I'm gonna bulk buy like $1,000 worth from you, see how it goes, and if it goes really well and works for my store, I'll buy more. You know, Ricky, what about you? What's one of your best ripping people off moments? Pretty much the better way to reword this. Lucrative deals.
Yeah, but I mean,
what's the best rip off, bro? Come on.
I rip myself off, truth be told, because literally I buy all this stuff and
Does that apply?
I always keep all the stuff I want, and by that time I'm like, well, I broke even. I'm like, I'm good.
Yeah, Ricky always has very good intentions of selling it. Like he'll buy a lot, he'll go in half with me, and he's like, all right, sick. Like I'll sell it, and then we go on Whatnot. He'll sell like 7 of them, and I'll be on Whatnot. Like already the one we have tomorrow, I have like 97 items listed.
Yeah,
they have none yet. So yeah.
Alrighty, we're gonna transition to our next topic. Agree or disagree?
Let's go.
It's one of my favorite games
You
every
guys
time.
entertain the audience and sing a song while I go grab my thumbs up and thumbs down.
Sing, Ricky.
I'm never gonna give Chris up. Never gonna let him down. You know what I'm saying?
It's pretty good, Curtis.
I know,
You have
man.
a good voice, Curtis.
Hey,
That's
hey.
pretty good.
Nintendo 64 bag for all you video watchers. See, you get some perks. Not only get to see Ricky's handsome face, but the perks. Here we go. Thumbs up, thumbs down, babies. Right here. Here you go. Here you go.
Thank you,
Let's
sir.
do this.
Now, for the viewers at home, the red thumbs down means
good.
disagree.
Yes.
And the green thumbs up
Yes.
means you agree.
He did it! No, Ricky, we said this next to you, my good friend. Curtis, shoot us with your best statement, and we'll let you know if we agree or disagree with you.
All right, let's see if I can read it right. But let's say, box art should represent a video game accurately.
Box art should represent a video game accurately.
I agree.
I'm actually going to say no.
I'm going to agree with this. I remember being a kid buying NES games.
Which one?
Oh, man, let me think if I
For me, it was
think.
Wall Street Kid.
I just bought that the other day.
It sucks.
I just found, I know, and that cover on that, I just bought that on Sunday, Wall Street Kid, now that you bring it up, is one of the most amazing NES covers.
It's
ever.
beautiful.
It is unreal. Yeah, and then you look at the back of it. That's a good example. The game is, I assume, picking stocks or making money.
Pretty much.
Probably a terrible game. I've never played it.
Yeah.
But I remember being a kid. I'm trying to think if I can think of one. Oh, man. I can't think of one offhand, but so many games. As a kid, you didn't have
Yeah.
YouTube or like, you know, you couldn't go up, watch a trailer of what the game was. So you were going in, buying games based on the box art. And many times me and my brother would come home and just be so disappointed because the cover art was
Okay.
so good.
I say I get what you're saying. If we were playing this in the 90s, I would give a thumbs up. Because there's like, that's like you said, there's no YouTube, there's no option.
Yeah.
Like you got to go with what you see. But I also understand like a representative of like art. Like I understand art is also a thing. And if you look at, if you want to say accurate to a game, I feel like the only video games that are actually accurate to the game is like the black box series on the NES, because it's showing the actual pixels of actually what happens on the game. Because if you really think about it, let's say Joust on Atari. Yes, it's showing what's happening. You're riding a little ostrich or whatever with the thing, but it's not what it looks like in the game. I'd say now you can get away with showing like a cutscene or a screenshot on the front cover. But back in the day, I mean, if you're showing a screenshot from Kid Clown or something on the cover, or Dizzy's Adventure, or whatever it is, actually, maybe they do use that, it loses so much. I feel like back in the day, you had to kind of grandiose. I mean, look at Atari.
You'd have to have a little bit of imagination to like what it was going to be.
Atari 2600 has like some of the best box art in history, and obviously not some of the best physical graphics. But I feel like I get it. but I love seeing the art represented, even if it's in a little way that is completely clickbaity. Come on, Mega Man holds a gun in the first 2 boxes.
That's pretty cool.
I always felt deceived. I can't get over it. I felt so deceived. I wish I could think of a game. Rick, help me out.
Shingen the Ruler. When I picked it up, I thought it was a slasher. I was like, this game's going to be awesome.
Yeah, that's a good example, too.
Shingen the Ruler on the NES.
Yeah, it sounds awesome. I'm like, oh, dude, this game's going to be so
Yeah.
good. We put it up, and I was like, this is a puzzle game or some kind of a weird game.
All those strategy games, bro. No offense. Shout out to the strategy people. My brother's a strategy guy. I cannot do them, bro. And I've been tricked by a couple of them too, like Nobunga's Ambition or whatever these are. And you're like, this isn't going to be bad because you don't look. It was up on the wall as a kid in the video store and let you take them down and look in the back. And you get it home and you're like, this is diarrhea dog crap.
And as like a 10-year-old kid, getting those puzzle games was absolutely horrific.
Dude, bad.
It was terrible to bring that home and open that up.
Imagine being me. You know how stupid and loud and ADD I am. Imagine trying to play a strategy game like that. I've been able to play one in my life, Mario Rabbids, and I loved it to death. Every other one, I'm just like, I can't do it.
I can't do it either.
Yeah, I can't do it. What do you think, though, Curtis? I'm curious about your opinion.
Yo, I mean, I only played pretty much N64 and up from for the majority of the part, and I would say that the box art pretty much represented what it was gonna be.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
if you got Star Fox or you got Super Smash, but then when I'm playing now like the old NES stuff and I'm looking at the box art, I'm like, the box art supersedes that gameplay 100%.
You kind of had to be deceiving, right? Because it's going to be. But then again, I guess the black box stuff did sell really well.
It did.
Did you ever notice Mario is dying on the front cover?
No.
No.
You guys have never looked at the front cover of Mario Bros.
The black
Oh,
box
he's falling
version?
off, isn't he?
He's literally going into the lava and missing a jump. That is literally what is happening.
The one black
the
box
box art.
game that I like the most is actually Ice Climber. I really like that one a lot.
That's a great one.
Yeah.
I love Ice Climbers too. They're a great character in Smash Bros, by the way. One of the top tier.
All right, we're going to go into our second one. Princess Peach is the most popular female video game character.
I would disagree, Ricky.
Okay. Ricky disagrees. We
Dude,
got a thumbs
coming
down.
up hot. I love it.
Okay. Ricky's going to have I'm going to say I agree she is the most
I
popular.
have to agree. Yeah.
Let's see. Ricky, justify.
Who are you
We're
thinking
ready?
about?
So, speak, Ricky.
I already
Convince
know.
me.
You want me to convince you?
You're going to say
Let's
Laura
hear it.
Croft.
Curtis knows that I'm pretty sure Curtis would have picked the same person because it's all about Zelda. Zelda because of the name, and then you also got Samus. Dude, there's a bunch. And
I would say there's two, too. Like,
I would say if I had to pick between being Princess Peach or one of those two, it's like, dude, I'm gonna play these other games instead of Princess Peach. Yes, she's more popular.
That is the question.
I don't know. Hey,
I don't know. I think Zelda's technically still more popular.
I'm changing mine. I agree with Ricky now.
No, but I mean,
great.
I would also say that Tomb Raider. What about her?
Not as
No, I
popular.
wouldn't
Come
put Lara
on,
Croft.
guys.
Sorry, 2000s
I would
boy.
say Zelda. I hadn't thought about Zelda though.
Yeah.
Princess Zelda.
But listen, just what we were talking about before. We talked about deceit and deceiving, right? The cover art makes you think it's something that's not. One of the biggest memes of all time is Zelda. And Link. Zelda's very non-important in the structure of actually gameplay during those early Zelda games. Now, of course, she's, a mainstay in, Smash Brothers and other things. She plays a part in storyline as well. But back in the day, when you're playing Link's Awakening, whatever, any of the games, you're not thinking Zelda, right? You're playing as Link. You're playing Link. I don't know. I'm going to hold strong with this one and say you guys are wrong.
Have you ever been able to play as Zelda?
Mario 2.
No, the Princess Zelda in any of the games?
I think
I don't know if you can actually play as her.
I think
Somebody
she's just
out
a
there will
character.
probably say you can in something, but I don't know. I don't remember ever playing as her. Ever.
Princess Peach just got her own new game again.
Right, so Princess Peach has her own new games. You called her Samus? I said Samus.
Me too.
I thought it was Samus.
Samus.
But of
Samus
course-
Aaron or Iran.
But
Yeah.
that one is deceiving too because you didn't know it was a girl.
Nobody knew until you beat the game.
Right, so obviously she's playable.
Or enter Justin
And
Bailey as
Princess
the code.
Peach is playable.
But I would say that
Zelda, I don't
she's not
think
more
she's
important
ever
than
playable,
Peach.
which is kind of crazy.
That's
They
true.
never
It's
made a
only
game
Smash.
of
That's it.
But if
Right,
someone
Smash.
said,
That's
if you're asking if I go ask my parents, right, don't give a crap, my wife, people who don't give a crap about video games, tell me a female character in a video game, or tell me a princess.
They're
anything.
definitely not saying Samus.
They're not going to say. My wife probably would think Link is Zelda.
Maybe Zelda. Probably Princess
I think
Peach,
they would
though.
still say Zelda though. because
Really?
he-
Ricky's holding strong.
Yeah,
on it.
I think with Aaron saying, I don't think a lot of people would know that that's actually Princess Zelda. Regular non-video game player.
Totally.
Yeah, like if you held up a picture and they figured out which is which.
If I
Yeah.
held up Link to my wife, she'd say Zelda. Because that's Zelda. And even me as a longtime gamer, I have slipped up on the word before. People are like, who's this? I'm like, Zelda. Oh, no, I mean Link. Sorry. And you look like a complete clown. I would say it's a little deceiving. Princess Peach, she has multiple of her own games. She just got another mainline game. She was playable already in Mario 2, going back to that quick.
She was awesome in Mario too.
She was the best
character.
She's the best with her float.
Yeah, the float was the best character by far.
And in the new game, she can like change into a bunch of different characters and all that stuff. I feel like she is
such a convincing argument.
And in the movie, Zelda's not in the movie yet. Well,
Ooh.
she had the CDI game. Gee, sure is great around here. It's just the best.
Yeah, the CDI is the worst graphic.
His eyes are like rolling the other way. He's talking. Wanda Gamelon, they're the best.
It's such a good convincing
so
argument
cool.
right there too. Like I think Peach kind of takes the cake on it, dude.
I like how Curtis is like giving a definitive answer now.
Yeah.
And the winner was Red.
Yeah, dude.
Seriously.
Losers.
Beto, who's more popular, Peach or Zelda?
Peach.
Let's
Whoa.
go.
I can hear him. He actually can speak into the mic. That's dope.
Ooh, I like it.
Yeah, I love that little added little.
Little layer.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna go on to our next one. It's gonna be a little bit more of a topical one. It's gonna be tipping on takeout is irrelevant. So takeout, as in like you're ordering at a restaurant and you're just ordering takeout. Is it necessary to tip?
Oh man.
So
Say the question at the statement as the statement one time.
All right, so it's gonna be tipping at a restaurant on takeout is irrelevant when there is no extra service provided.
should you tip on takeout?
Yep.
Yes or no?
Yep.
Agree or disagree? With
Yep. And that's as lately because like I've been going.
I'm gonna say it's irrelevant, but I have to explain.
Right. I'm saying it's irrelevant.
Yep.
Okay.
It's a tricky question.
I like it.
I'll be the odd man out.
Okay.
All
What's
right.
your answer?
Better defend it.
All right. So it's to not tip, right?
You're
Yes.
saying you should tip on takeout.
Yes.
Oh, forget.
Yeah, I love when Ricky crosses.
Ricky's always confused on to agree or not to disagree.
Dude, he just thinks about it for a second. He's like, I'm just gonna disagree with them.
Let me just,
No, okay, I will be the odd man
okay,
out.
okay.
Okay.
I'll be the odd man out because I know those to-go people are the ones that are usually like in the front. They don't get any tips. They don't get anything. So, I mean, I'm not saying tip them like good, but like at least they're like a couple bucks their way. I mean, they bagged it up for you. That's about all they do.
Dude, there's gonna be some angry people
Well,
out
no,
there.
I
love
wanted
it.
to say this. I agree that's irrelevant, but I do it every time anyways.
Yes, I still do it.
I tip on everything. Yesterday, this isn't me. Yesterday, my haircut girl, she charged me $12 to cut my hair, and she's going to Vietnam for a month, and I normally come and see her every month. So I gave her a $100 bill when I left, and I said, "Here's for the weeks that I'm gone."
Well, that's different. That's
no, but
different.
no, I'm just saying. And even with to go, I tip on everything. But I say it's irrelevant because you don't have to. They're getting paid for that job, right? I don't get to, Beto, our amazing sound engineer, right? He can't put up a thing and be like, "Hey, you guys gonna tip me this time?" You know what I mean? Like, it's irrelevant. You can, right? You could say that about any job. You could say it at your store. It's irrelevant if someone wants to tip you or bless you, but you can. I choose to do it pretty much in every situation.
Every situation. So
Give me. Let's hear it.
Yes.
Let's hear it. Give me-
Yeah.
I just want to say the thing that I'm
With food.
kind of like getting annoyed with it now is that everywhere I go now, like if I go get to the coffee shop in the morning, it's okay, your coffee was $3. Do you want to tip $1? And then say I go to the boba place. Okay, your order was $6. Do you want to tip $1? And I mean, everywhere it's now an option to tip.
And it's
At
awkwardly,
first-
awkwardly right in front of you.
And then now this has been around for a couple of years where you started seeing it. At first, I used to be $1 here, $1 here. I go to a lot of places. I eat at a lot of places throughout the day. To the point where I'm like, all right, I am done. This is like $10 a day and
And you
tips
go there
every day.
and the option is, it's like, would you like to tip? And the options are like 20%, 40%, or 60%. And you're like, what the hell is this? Like, those are my options, 20%, or you can do custom. And they're like this. They're like, oh, no worries. There's just some questions there below. And they just stare at you
Dude,
at the
I'm telling
iPad.
you.
And you're like,
It's
now,
so
look over there.
awkward.
Nothing.
Now, I do love tipping. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
It's not that I don't tip. Takeout, I generally don't, just to go back to that. But like if I go to my coffee shop every single morning, that dollar tip every single morning over and over and over again. Now, once in a while, I still will hit like, all right, you know, maybe you said good morning or you were extra friendly this morning. Okay, you deserve a dollar. But over and over and over again, every single time, I'm like, man, this is a lot of tipping.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of like, how many tips do I have to give?
Dude, no, I mean, like, my sentiment on this is like, unless they're providing extra service to me, like if they're cleaning my table or whatever, I'm ordering takeout. That food is for me to go. You're not providing additional workload to your, to your life. So leave it up to the stores. The business owners should be covering that, like their wages and all that.
What were you gonna say?
I'll tell you this, like I've noticed, like when I do tip, like on those to-go orders, there's like 3 people ahead of me. Guess who gets their order first? Bam. I've seen it a couple times.
Paying for better work.
I was like, well, I mean, I'll pay to get out of here like an extra 5 minutes early.
I will say this. When I said every time, I was more talking about takeout. But I will say I will tip in pretty much any scenario if I feel like the person. I'm a huge like connection person. If I walk in and the dude's like, how are you? Good to see you. I already know they're going to tip. Like I more tip off people's demeanor versus their services. I like a good experience. I'm a people person. I like to talk. I like the guy to fist bump me when I come in at Bonsai Bowl. And what up, dude? I'm a experience type person when I'm at those places.
Yeah.
So if I get a good experience, I'll do that.
So we go and get tacos generally every time after the podcast. And what's the name of the place?
I always tip.
Baja.
Baja.
I tip every time.
Yeah, I tip.
Do you tip every time?
Every time.
On the
Yeah.
credit card, you tip.
On the credit card.
You do.
Well, that's because they're going to provide a service. They do table side service for us.
Right. And they do good service.
Yeah.
there.
Plus,
They
they're
are
they're
good.
homies. At
And-
this point. I see
and
them
they're nice.
And we
every
talk with them
week.
all the time. Okay.
I did it with my.
And
I'm just saying I'm
I'm-
takeout. That's
I'm
it.
saying I'm sporadic with it. Once in a while, I will tip
Yeah.
even at the Baja place. But I honestly will. It depends, I think, on how much I've tipped already that day. Like, if I'm like,
I'm telling
I
you.
hit the
It's
tip button
Dude.
like 3 times already today. I'm tapped out on the tipping. Like, I'm sorry, you did a great job, but there's no more tipping for me.
Dude, I went to Togo's and I was like, I just got a turkey sandwich with cheddar only on it, no extra thing on it. And then it came out to like $16. And I was like, and it's a 20%, 15%. And I was like adding $2 to $3 on it. I'm like, no, sirree, I'm taking this out. I'm leaving.
Yeah, you're tapped. Yeah, like enough is
Get
enough.
out of here. $20 sandwich, you're gone.
I kind of do it in a way though, like sometimes I'll force it upon myself, like exercising generosity, because our nature as humans is not to give, right? It's a very like clench your wallets type thing. I mean, even in churches, one of the biggest moments people stress is during tithe. They're like, oh no, here we go. Like, what do we do? They're talking. I've always kind of like forced myself to exercise generosity, even if I don't feel it. I showed my son, we went to Red Robin, or maybe it was my daughter, and we were out for like a birthday thing, and we gave the waitress a $100 bill as like a tip. And my daughter was like, why? Why would you do that? And I just said, because she made our day. And I think it was just like those kind of things I like to like plant in my kids' heads. Like it's okay to have generosity without reasoning sometimes. And like you said, obviously you can't get excessive. You can't go into debt and you're like, I'm tapped out. Like I've spent $75 just on tips today on my meals. I get that. But I kind of like force it upon myself because I've said before, when growing up without money, I would always like be like, heck no, I can never. So now I think I've had to like teach myself
He looked at
to
me.
do it. Why'd you look? I grew up poor.
Yeah, brokey.
And I agree with you on all that. I do believe
Yeah.
in generosity and
Shut
giving
up,
back.
Scrooge.
No, I don't want to tell
late
like the
now.
Scrooge over here.
Yeah, I'll wear it for Chris, man. I'll be like,
It reminds me of there's the scene, and I think it's Usual Suspects, or it's Reservoir Dogs, where they're all sitting at the table. Do you know the scene?
It's been a
and
while
it's the
since I've seen
one
it.
dude, Steve Buscemi, and they all go around. They're like, "All right, everybody chip in," and he's like, "I don't tip." And it's a whole scene on like he's like, "I don't tip." The guy's like, "No, you cheapskate, you're chipping in too." So I do tip a lot,
Yeah,
all the time.
I know you do.
but it's just excessive to me.
I know.
There's
I mean,
a lot of it now.
If it's like for dumb things, I think that's where it comes down to. If it's like
Well,
a
the
really,
dollar tip on my $3 coffee, it's just a lot
It adds
after
up.
a while.
Yeah.
I'm
It
like,
adds
man,
up.
this is adding up.
And
So-
I'll add one little sentiment to it. In other countries like Japan, they actually think it's an insult to tip. So it's
Really?
like, yeah,
No tipping in Japan?
yeah, they actually think it's an insult.
the managers probably think that all the workers are like, please, because I've never met someone who's like, oh no, don't anybody I've ever asked if you want a tip. I don't care if they're a construction worker. They're like, yes, please, I'll take that.
All right, we're gonna go on to our next one. It's gonna be graphics are a very important part in video games.
Graphics are a very important part in video games. I'm gonna say no. Chris says yes.
I say no.
Christopher, defend yourself.
Oh man, I mean, I love graphics. I mean, gameplay is huge, of course, too, but graphics, I mean, they're just such a big part of it. I'm surprised you guys say no to that, because to me, they're not everything.
Yeah.
Like, there can be a bad graphics game that's good.
Yeah.
Can't think of one.
That's good.
Yeah, like, what's a good bad graphics game?
Felix the Cat on the NES.
Robotron?
Like the entire
On the
NES
arcade.
catalog? What?
It's even like Robotron. Robotron, I would say, is like good graphics. I don't know. Any game I've ever enjoyed over the years, typically I'm like, oh, the graphics are pretty good.
What about Broforce? Those were horrible graphics, but it was so entertaining.
No, but I still like those graphics.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's the
I
thing.
like that 8-bit style.
The
But you're
gameplay's
right, it
great.
is technically like lo-fi graphics.
Lo-fi, I love that.
Some of the characters in
Lo-fi.
Well, it's interesting. If you think about graphics, though, going through time, graphics were so important, air quotes for audio, important back in the day because it was the war of bits, right? You had the Atari, and then 8-bit console came out. Well, shoot, what's next? We got 16 bits of power. Up next, 32 bits of Meg's power. 64. It's like this was the thing. Then we got one to like 128 and stuff. People stopped talking about, bits. It just didn't become a thing. But back then, it was so important to say graphics, to where I think we got a lot of games that just thought graphics and forgot about gameplay. Right? We look into a lot of the new modern games, like some of the Assassin's Creed games or Cyberpunk, whatever it is, to where you look at the graphics and you're like, ooh, that looks pretty. But when you come down to it, sometimes graphics took precedent over gameplay, leading to a worse game. Or if you have a game with poopy graphics but good gameplay, you can still enjoy the game.
That is a
Argue
good
that.
point. No, that
Argue
is a
it.
good- no, I'm not. I'm going to agree with you on like the modern stuff. Like there is a lot of beautiful games out there that are pretty crappy. So the graphics don't necessarily make it a good game. I guess my argument is that they certainly do help it. Like if
Enhance
you
the
have decent
experience.
graphics to like, make it a good game. So
Ricky?
I miss those days though when you used to just like brag about graphics. I think the last game that actually like that happened was I think it was Gabo too, and I finally played the game. It was some samurai game on PS4.
Oh.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, the one with the not Kenseiden. That's on Sega Master System. I can't remember. It sounds so dumb. One of my friends helped develop it. Wow, I sound horrible. It's
that
like
was-
one of the game of the year.
That was the last one besides Shadow of the Colossus. When that came out, I remember I was like, oh, everyone was like, dude, this is the best game ever. But you don't get that anymore.
Do you think the storyline would outweigh the visual aspects of a gameplay?
Storyline's huge. I think depending on the type of game. I know back in the days it wasn't as popular to listen to storylines because they were generally the same. Princess this, president's been captured by ninjas. Win, yay, congratulations, misspelling at the end.
Congratulations.
No reward, misspelling. You are winner. It's like
well, like what's a better game, the original Zelda or Link to the Past?
Link to the Past.
Why?
Because it's a better game on all aspects.
The gameplay is pretty much the same.
It's way better.
Not that much different, though. You can drop bombs. You're going into dungeons.
I think Nintendo and Super Nintendo, though, is like the perfect parallel of like where it was like an enhancement, but things were still, I don't know, like on an equal playing field, but enhanced.
Like the coding was
and like
still the same?
Nintendo graphics, like I love them. But the graphics when you're playing like Link to the Past are so far and above beyond like the original Zelda. It does make it almost a better
It
game.
enhances the experience for sure.
For
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
And it's pretty similar gameplay.
Yeah.
It's an overhead view, but when you look at the two, you're like, wow, that's a way better game.
I never thought he'd be a graphics guy, bro. Galbo's a huge graphics
Yeah,
guy.
he's
like updates his TV like every 6 months. Like he really does.
Yeah, and it's not
does.
everything, but I do feel it's a pretty critical piece.
I know we talked about, I think in our first podcast, I remember like getting the Series X, great console. I love Game Pass. I think it's the greatest thing that's happened to gaming maybe ever for a consumer. Buying a 4K TV for it and like being hyped, like woo, hyping it up and just turning it on. I was like, looks good.
Well, do you think we're
Yeah,
at
I
a
spent too much money on something.
Rockin' Stone.
Kind of the reason why I switched.
And then I play indie developed games. Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of the reason why I switched to PC is because I wanted to upgrade my gameplay. Like, I love the frame rate, the no lag input, all that stuff was like nice on it.
Yeah, Bricks.
Do you think we're at a stage though where graphics have finally kind of like maxed out? Like,
I would
what
say
is
that
the
we're.
next level.
I
of
would
the
say that we're
graphics?
about 5 or 10 years out before we see something look like unbelievably crazy.
There's been a couple like that. There was one they were talking about triangles or something for some reason in the trailer, but there was this like first person shooter game like PlayStation 5 being developed or something where it was like it was real. It looked real.
I mean, I saw like I was playing Street Fighter 6 the other day, and I was like, "Wow, these graphics are incredible." The way the guys look, But I guess I've been blown away every generation when the graphics come out. So I don't know if the next series, whatever it is, Xbox Millennium or whatever they call it.
I'm less and less impressed the past, like,
because it's
I don't know.
Xbox 360 till the new stuff, it's always been kind of equally as excited each time. We'll never get the jump from 8-bit to 16-bit.
I don't think there's going to be a crazy difference that we're not already seeing when they do go the years past. But I think that like games like Mortal Kombat, when you can play the old one and then you play the one that just came out, it is tenfold times like nicer.
Well, and so what I was actually had the same discussion with my son the other day. He was 14, and I was saying to him, I was like, "Yeah, the graphics have plateaued; they're not getting any better." And he was like, "That's not true." He's like, "The frame rates are so much better than they used to be." And I was like, "Get out of here with your frame rate. That doesn't mean anything."
It does.
Like, but he was explaining it to me, and he's like, "No." And I was like, "So if you go back and play an Xbox." Not original Xbox One.
Yeah, it's like
to me, Xbox One to Xbox Series X looks pretty much the same.
Yeah.
But he's like, no, those are like completely different. And I'm like, I don't know, they look the same to me. But he went off on a frame rate lag thing.
Dude,
and he's
telling
like,
you.
no, they are so much better.
I'm telling you. Yeah.
I don't visually see it.
I switched
people
from
like
just like the regular Xbox One edition that came out, and I went to a PC, and I was like, what was I cross-eyed back then? Like, that it like improved the graphics so much. Having a monitor that does 240 frames, they're making a new set of monitors that are 360 frames. And
Nickel and diming you, bro.
My reply
dude,
to-
I'm telling you,
You
it's
sure
gonna
they're
be.
not nickel and diming
Oh,
you?
I don't care if they are. It comes out where my face is like glued to the
My
screen.
reply to this is always lag doesn't even exist.
Oh.
Dude, you don't know
It's
the
just-
Gears days,
no
man.
way, dude. It's just in your mind. It
Dude,
doesn't
you don't
even-
know
it's
the
not
Gears
even
days.
there.
I'm telling you, they had this thing called a lag switch where you would be in spawn and someone would put it on.
Did you say we didn't know the Gears days?
No, I'm saying like you don't remember the Gears days where it's like they called it the lag switch.
Come on, dude.
We
So did you
created
play-
the Gears
Oh,
days.
dude.
We were the founders.
Yeah,
we were.
You're still getting that
Let's do our
charcoal
handshake.
off
We
your
got Gears handshake.
shoulders. Yeah, dude, I just remember like back in the day, like where you get lag switched and somebody would literally click it and where like your dial up or whatever it
I
was.
used to run Smash
get
tournaments.
destroyed at
and
spawn.
I remember people like I was running them on like not Asus monitors, and people would be like, "This is ridiculous. We can't play it with the lag." And I was like, I would just be like, "Yeah," I'd be like, "Get out of here with your lag."
I lost because my lag input's
Get
1
outta here.
millisecond
Yeah,
too
you
slow.
just. I would just be like, "You just lost because you suck."
The hater hangs,
bro.
The hater hangs over here.
If he was around in the Super Nintendo days, he would have been one of those guys like, "Oh, I didn't win because my controller was acting
Yeah,
up."
yeah.
Yeah, I would have been like, dude, the response time on this controllers, it's bad.
What were you gonna say, Ricky?
So I was gonna say, does the lag it's only for the online? Because
I would say like I was just saying like back in the Gears days when like Xbox 360, you'd have Gears of War 2, somebody would hit a switch and it would like literally lock you at spawn, and then everybody would be dead, and then boom, you're dead. Don't even try it.
It's interesting. It's interesting. Ricky and I used to play all those games online and would get first place with none of that.
we
crap.
Oh,
we
that's
annihilate.
crazy.
We were playing off
No problem.
CRTs.
Me
No
too.
problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, must have been the lag
Work on
switchers.
your internet over there.
Dude, I remember I'd be playing it. I'd get a phone call, and it
Phone call.
the dial up would literally like because it's a landline, it would freeze you for a second. You're like, no, my internet's going
That was your
out.
problem. You were on dial.
I think a big problem with current. I think one of the biggest problems in current generation, and I never thought about this, is the reason I'm not as excited anymore is because it's expected. Right? Back in the 8-bit days, 16-bit days, 32-bit days, you were like, oh my gosh, we've peaked. Now we know technology can go so far, you're like, of course they can do that. They'll get to it. Right? Now, if they're like, dude, you walk into a room and it's VR, holographics, and it's all realistic.
Holographics.
Whatever. We'd all be like,
Yo,
yeah.
holographies.
We'd all be like, yeah, they'll get there.
Yeah.
But back in the day, you're like, there's no way it's better than Donkey Kong. There's just no way. But now it's like, yeah, it's going to happen. So when it hits, it's almost like, yeah, I knew we'd get there. You know? I feel like it hits
agree with
different.
I mean,
Agree or disagree?
I agree.
all righty, we're going to go on to our next topic. It's going to be reproduction toys and shirts are ruining collecting. This is a Ricky topic, so I'm going to have to lead it. So
Don't even.
All right, so I'm going to start off with this question. Are reproductions of shirts and toys going to ruin the hobby of collecting?
I think they eventually will. Like, so as an example, like let's start off with the shirt game. Like the shirt game right now, like if you're not into it, people do not know how to spot reals and fakes. And it's honestly bugging me so much. I'll go on eBay, literally start searching up shirts all over, and I'll see like, oh, look at this one, sick. I'll look at just like us, we can spot it. Like you can tell by the fade or by the tag. Tag's pretty much a dead giveaway. Like right now, there's like a Nintendo World Championship
giveaway.
Dead giveaway. But dude, Nintendo World Championship shirt on eBay right now. They're asking like $500 for it, and you look at it, it's got the thin tag for the new.
Got the canvas tag.
Yes, and I'm just like, dude.
Same goes for gaming too. This isn't just for shirts.
This is for like everything. Like even I feel like when they brought up the new turtles.
Yes.
I feel like it's hurting the old turtle market because it's you can kind of tell the difference, but
those are licensed.
Those are licensed. That's the problem. So like, I don't know, stuff like that really is gonna hurt the market bad.
I see what you're saying on a lot of things. It is difficult to tell, and I know other people have talked about this before, but I think it's important because reproductions of games, shirts, anything, I'm sure, whatever market any of you are into in any world of any facet, is getting, again, we just talked about technology being so advanced nowadays, in the last episode. But now, same goes for physical stuff. People are getting so good at recreating this stuff that it does become hard. I've gotten bootleg t-shirts that I am finding out later were bootlegs, and I'm like, there is no way this wouldn't pass as real.
Yeah.
It's got the fade. They're buying the shirts from old bins that were dirty and faded with a tag on it and just getting it embroidered or just getting it printed on. And by all means, there's almost no way to prove if it's a fake or a repop, which can be the difference of, even in video games, a $500 item or a $50 item. But there is respect too on things that I do like for it. Like actually, I'm going to be working with a guy who's making me, I don't want to mess up the website name. It's like Mini Gaming Boxes. We'll work with him soon. I'll even mention him on the podcast. He's getting me boxes that are mini, but they're repros of those boxes, and they're so good, and I desire them, right? And he obviously knows, hey, I'm not telling people these are the original boxes. They're obviously smaller. Like, they're not the exact ones. But certain repros of items can be a good thing. But I think where the hard part is when people don't tell you.
Yes.
And they just don't advertise it. Like, there's a game at a swap meet and it's fake, and you ask the vendor and they're not saying a word. They're just like, yeah, I got this game. $50 for this $100 game.
It's important to like differentiate. Like, you're wearing what would be classified, the term is bootleg shirt. But was that a shirt ever an original shirt? Like, was it that graphic ever put on a shirt?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I feel like shirts like this make you want to collect though. Like it's like I don't know.
And
for the audio listeners, by the way, it's Jameson pulling off Spider-Man's mask.
Right.
Yeah.
Correct. And it's an awesome shirt, but of course it's new.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I wouldn't call it a fake. Like, when I see fake games, or like you talked about the NWC shirt, where like somebody is trying to fake that to make and almost like fool you into thinking that that's the original.
Huge difference.
That I cannot stand it. Now, if it's bootleg, like there's a lot of t-shirt makers that are making like awesome graphics that are Marvel shirts,
they're turning out
like
good.
Chronic Images or Mad or any of these guys, like they're like original art.
Oh, that's Mad.
This is Mad.
It's an MAD.
Yeah,
Mad?
it's an MAD.
Mask in Disguise.
Yeah.
So they're like original artwork they don't own the licensing to Spider-Man, obviously. So they're bootlegs. But I don't mind that so much. But the pure fakes, like Pokemon fakes, and those anything fake where you're trying to pass it off as real, man, I cannot stand that.
Yeah,
And that to me,
that happened to me. Remember,
ruining. I don't know if it's ruining collecting altogether, but it's making it much harder to be a collector.
Yeah.
Well, and it sucks for people who aren't seasoned veterans, right? Or even seasoned veterans, because it's hard to spot it. But for people, who are newer to the scene, who are trying to do their due diligence to get these games, it may be harder for them because they're not as well versed as seeing 100 copies of Turtles in Time, to where they may go to the swap meet and see a fake and go, it looks pretty real to me.
The Pokemon games, like Pokemon Emerald and all of those.
The DS games,
over
remember?
the years, we were pretty good at like, okay, it doesn't have this, or the E looks like this.
Yeah.
Lately, when they get traded in, man, I have sat there and looked online, and I'm trying to tell. And a lot of times we just cannot tell anymore if it is fake or real. They have gotten so good at mimicking all of that stuff. And so it's very hard to even know, like, if you're buying a real Pokemon Emerald now.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got cut off. It stopped recording. So Curtis, get back into it. Tell us a story. You and Chris were at the swap meet and you got smoked. I love hearing these stories. So, it's not me being the idiot.
So I was walking the swap the other day with Chris, and you guys weren't there. And as I was walking around, we spotted some DS games just sealed on the table, and I was like, dude, these are Pokemon games, right? And I ended up only wanted to resell them real quick, and as I picked them up, I walked away, and Chris was like, dude, that's a pretty good score. I didn't see him. And then we started looking closer at him.
I remember this. Dude, this is when you got toasted good, man. Let's go.
Awesome. Dude, I was the problem was is like I'm not like as familiar with DS games as I thought I was, and I looked super close. I mean, you can't really tell if they're fake or not. So I'm looking at the seal. The only difference you could see really was that it wasn't as like holographic, I guess, per se, as on the outside. And so like I told Chris, I was like, man, like I don't know if these are real or not, but I'm gonna just take the risk. But Chris was like, dude, as he looked at it, you were like,
how long did it take you to look at it to start questioning?
Well, right away when Curtis said he got them, I was at the booth. First off, I was like, damn, I missed out on sealed Pokemon games. I was like, oh, those are like a few hundred, $300-$500. And then he handed them to me, and I was like, right away.
Curtis's tears.
Dude, I
mean, it went from like, oh, man, you got to steal to, a lot of things raised. First of all, you're at, the flea market. Yeah. You should be like, that would be odd to find sealed Pokemon games, but you could.
Yeah, I mean.
And so I'm walking around, and I'm looking at them, and I was like, I don't know, Curtis. These look a little bit off. I mean, they were pretty darn good, I will say, though. And I had to look at them for a good, 5 to 10 minutes. And my final judgment on was like, I think that these are fake.
Yeah. So the only way I could really determine it was like, Chris, I'm just going to open one and I'm going to have to compare it to something else, like at another booth. And as I was looking at it, I was looking at the DS games. I'm looking at it. I'm like, dude, these still look so real to me.
But I think once you opened them up and we did look at the insides, then it was more apparent that like, yeah, these are fake.
What a bummer if you opened it and they were real.
Well, hey, no, but I was willing to take the risk on it because I mean, like, we were 80% sure that they were pretty much fakes. But I mean, I wasn't going to go back to the vendor and be like, hey, man, you sold me a fake. I kind of had a feeling like already they kind of knew. Like they kind of hush when you go to those booths. It's like, I don't want to say anything.
But some of them come off like, we've been to some where it's like, I think they genuinely didn't know those were fake.
Yeah.
There's some.
I get a lot of, I don't know. Like I'll come across like fake Pokemon cards. Like are these? And you ask the question, are these real? I don't know. Like you figure it out.
The politician answer.
Yeah. Now, do they know or not know? Who knows? I mean, maybe they do, maybe they don't.
Ricky has a technique that you use for DS games.
For the DS games, it's like I guess I got it from Scott Squatch. But the thing is, you look at the top of like the DS and the 3DS games. You got to look for this rectangular like box. Square, it's the tiniest little it's almost like a slit, but you look at it like close and you'll see this little slit right
on the front.
Yeah, on the top.
Above the label.
Dude, but they're getting so good at it. It's almost like it's so hard to tell the difference. I mean, these were sealed. So, once I figured out their reproductions, I was like, what I pretty much had in mind, I was like, well, I'm just going to keep them. And, whenever we make a mistake or something and a fan needs something, I'll just have the boys sign it and we'll send it out for a gift or something like that.
And they've definitely gotten better with those little subtleties. Like, on the Game Boy Advance Pokemon games, we used to look on the inside and it would say Nintendo. Like across the board, and that was one way to tell. Now they put Nintendo across the board.
Do you know how to tell those apart?
No.
So,
I mean, I do.
Yeah,
I know a lot of different ways. Let me say.
What is it?
So on the Pokemon, like the clear ones,
okay.
You flip on the back and you'll see the 4 squares in the back. That's like a weird little. I don't know.
So I haven't heard of that one. So we used to look at the E.
Talk to the mic, Ricky.
I mean, we used to look at the E, but I feel like now the E is perfect.
Yeah.
The E used to be off. Then it was the little things. Then you could open it up and there were certain things you could look inside.
This is why
they've gotten better and better at reproducing faking all of
Now, for a store, do you ever sell reproductions?
We do not. I don't order them in bulk. We won't do any of that. In fact, we've never done that. I know some store owners do.
Yeah.
Well, we've always frowned upon it. But if a Pokemon Emerald gets traded in, we evaluate it. Say by accident, one of our guys bought it as real. We probably paid.
I've seen people do that.
$80-$90 for it. Say it's $100 and something game. Rather than eating the loss altogether, we probably would have paid a lot. We got burnt on it. We got toasted like Curtis.
The toaster.
Hey man, we take L's every once in a while. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But versus throwing it out, we will sometimes put very clearly labeled repro on it. We'll mark it down to maybe $10. Somebody might still want to play that game. We only have maybe 1 or 2 of them in the case. It's not like we have a whole case of reproduction games. We might sell that just so somebody can play it. The game will still work.
Yeah.
So,
are you pretty upfront when telling
very
them.
upfront,
Yeah.
beyond upfront. Like this is not a real version.
He's a
of
good
this
guy.
game.
Oh,
Well, I would
guy.
never liked it. Yeah, I've never liked the repro.
It happened to Gabo. We're in a group chat, and he texts me one day in our group chat, very excited. Like in critical Gabo, like, I am sweating, Rifo. Rifo, check this out in the group chat. We're like, Gabo, what'd you guys? Like, the biggest score ever, guys. Like all like ready to get like us to cheer him on. And he just sends us pictures of the most obvious fake Super Nintendo games you've ever seen. It's almost like if someone doesn't know how to use Photoshop and they're like, TMNT Turtles, and they find a random image and like, that'll work, and just stretch it to fit the Super Nintendo tags like flopping off. No, the best one, the Pocky and Rocky that he bought.
Yeah.
You could see the watermark that said like image sample on top of it. And I was like,
Yo, that was a developer copy, dude.
It literally had a watermark, and I was like, Gabo. But
Dang.
people do get excited. I get when you hunt and you think you're getting a deal, so you just try to pay and move on.
Yeah.
So I could see how you maybe
So
did
did Gabo get Curtised, or did Curtis get Gaboed?
it. They're both in the toaster.
But you know that like mine was a little bit more difficult because mine was sealed. At least it wasn't like out in the front. You know what I mean?
Whatever you got to
Damn,
tell
you got
yourself.
Gaboed.
I don't know how he didn't know because, dude, Wild Guns, Pocky Rocky, TMNT, and then Contra. And I'm like,
Contra 3.
Contra 3, sorry. I'm like, dude, you don't find those games together.
They're on like
ever.
those bright, shiny, like
Yeah,
fake.
they were like
cards.
shimmery, that gray, the back label has nothing on it. I'm just like, well, Gabo, I mean, hey, man, we love you. Happen to the best of us. And you could just hear in his voice. He went silent for a good 20 minutes. Oh, no, I make big mistake.
All right, so I'm gonna try wrap it back. I'm gonna wrap it back into the reproduction side of toys. I'm wondering, how does that ruin the vintage market when they're mass producing the old toys? Like
Oh,
they're
gosh.
coming out with TMNT. They're coming out with actually now Street Shark soon. So like.
They are Street
Yeah,
Sharks?
yeah. I think Mattel is
So
making
those are
that.
like licensed things. So
Yeah.
I don't have as much of a problem with like them being licensed. They're just like reissues, I feel like.
Right.
But fully licensed toys, I don't think you see as many like bootleg action figures. I know back in the day they used to bootleg He-Man figures.
Big time.
Yeah.
And those are actually pretty awesome. Like if I ever come across bootleg He-Man
They're really
figures,
cool.
They're worth money
I'll
now.
actually buy them. Yeah,
They're just
they're
like a
worth some
plastic
money.
mold with nothing else. Like,
Yeah, and some of them are just super cool. I think there was a company called like Suncoast or something that was
Yeah.
making a lot of these bootlegs. I think they were a Mexican company. maybe.
Yeah.
why are you looking at Ricky?
Those are pretty much the toys I had.
just bootleg Ricky over here.
But you don't. I don't think you see as many bootleg figures.
I feel like you do, but like Transformers, like the newer ones, you'll see a lot of those.
Yeah, but how is
and
it?
wasn't Mikey talking about bootleg Funko
Pops, yeah.
Yeah,
There
but
are
how is it like
bootlegs,
actually
so-
like? Does it impact the market while they're making more of these reissues?
I feel like the collectors are going to be collectors, and collectors are going to seek out the real originals for the heck of it. But then you have guys like me who doesn't know the toy market, to where I've talked about before. I have gotten burned thinking that I'm buying, again, not being good. You know, it's like a new video game collector. You don't know what's, even though they're not fakes, right? Like you said, they're licensed, they're new products. I've bought them, as I said before, thinking, I think these are original TMNTs. You look on the back, it says 94. You're like, sweet.
Yes.
I guess they are. $10.
Yeah.
I'm in. You know, and then I walk away and go home and like, look, Ricky. He's like, you're an idiot. It's like, oh, hey, I got
And I
new
have a
TMNT.
tough time telling with some of those. A lot of times I'm looking at the new TMNTs. They look like the 91s, but they're reissues.
Yeah. Which are great.
Did they
though.
say 94 on the back? I think they say 2021, 2022.
On the box, I think they say
They
it.
do
Some
say
it, and then-
94
but
somewhere, I
You
think,
flip it
too.
in the back, it actually says the
And then
real
it said,
year.
right. So a lot of times I'm checking that.
I think everything Garfield says like the same year or something. Someone told me that.
Really?
Because I remember I kept finding these Garfield shirts and I'm like, dude, it's a 1968. And everyone's like, sweet. And then sooner or later, everyone's like, dude, they all say that. And I was like, really? I'm sitting there telling my audience and whatnot, like, dude, it's 1968. Double stitch though, I'm not sure. And I'm like, crap, I think I just sold someone the wrong thing. Like, I'm sorry. But, you know.
Yeah. So what are some like the key? Like now we're gonna go into shirts, but what are some of like the key traits that you look in for like a vintage shirt comparably to like somebody who like gets a reprint? Because like
Smell.
sometimes you'll get them from.
Ooh,
Smells good.
Yeah, sometimes you'll get like ripped tag ones, and I'm like, I have
Oh,
no
no,
those are the
idea.
worst.
When you see cut tags, it's normally because they know they're bootleg.
Cut tag is a good sign. I mean, I've seen some really good bootleg shirts. Feel
Smells big.
Like, yeah, looking online, it sometimes can be really difficult. There was a guy that had like some Mortal Kombat, like 1990s bootleg shirts that he was selling, cut tag, that looked super official. And actually, I got toasted on this. I got Curtis.
Yeah.
One of them was.
Yo, do not make that a thing, guys. You
Hey
get
guys,
Curtis.
leave in the comments. I got Curtis.
So I bought. It was a Splatterhouse shirt.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it was a
And you got
sick
shattered,
graphic,
bro.
Dude, I got Curtis hard, and I was like,
You got Curtis hard?
yeah, I got Curtis hard.
Dude, nice, dude.
So I bought the shirt. I think I paid like $200 for it, and I got it, and I just right away was like, man, this thing looks questionable, and it was pretty darn good bootleg. And but after evaluating it, getting some opinions on it, looking at the stitching, the feel, everything, I was like, yeah, this is a bootleg.
Yeah, but I mean, like they're getting single stitched boots, and I got tricked on that Donkey Kong shirt, and I was like, it said vintage style, but like it was single,
style.
it was on, dude. But then they go
Curtis Curtising himself, bro.
dude. Then it's on a Toltex tag, and I'm like, it's a.
It only said bootleg, repro, and fake on it. How was I supposed to know?
Now they're actually.
Not real.
No, hey,
Bye.
dude, what I'm loving is they're actually putting bootleg on the shirt now. So it's like,
I don't like that.
I don't
hey,
like that.
yeah, hey, I like it because I'm not gonna get Curtis. All right, we're gonna go on to our next topic. It's gonna be ranking run and gun games.
Oh, baby. Ranking run and gun games. Are you guys ready for this? So, okay, let me give a little very important disclaimer to the audience. When I searched up, like, let me look at the full list of run and guns. You know, we know the Contras, the Metal Slugs, all that.
Yeah.
People get really loose with what's a run and gun online. And I'm talking big lists from IGN. I don't consider, I know, maybe I'm wrong, I don't consider like side-scrolling platformers where you have a gun run and gun games. I know that's the general consensus, and technically that's what Contra is, that's what Metal Slug is, but I just feel like they have a different feel to them. Run and gun games where you're more focused on going straight, you know, a little bit of platforming here and there. Yes, some up and down levels, but I had to kind of define it and pull it in a little bit. Like a lot of people put like Earthworm Jim is number. I'm like, Earthworm Jim? It doesn't seem like a run and gun to me. So I kind of had to tone it down a little bit to more what feels like real run and gun games. So sorry if you don't agree. But with that, Ricky, give me a number between 1 and 10.
6.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ooh, you started off with a banger, baby. Gunstar Heroes for the Sega Genesis. Ricky, rank it. S is best, F is worst. What you got, my friend?
I legit forgot how good this game was. So me and Andy actually beat this game at my house. It took us like 3 hours. Such a stinking good game. I am going to rate this an S off the bat because it was that good. It was so good.
I will jump in since we're talking about it. It is a fantastic game. It is one of the best run and gun games out there. I'd say one of Sega Genesis's best games.
So good.
To argue the Sega Genesis as a good console, a lot of times I'll be like, dude, have you tried Gunstar Heroes?
Yes.
I don't know.
A for me.
I honestly didn't like the gun, like how it shot and it would, like wrap around and shoot other things.
The
like
mechanic of the movement of the gun.
Yeah, it wasn't my favorite. I would say like I'm more of like on a B scale of it. But
Okay.
I would say it just wasn't the greatest. It was a weird mechanic for me.
The gun mechanic is a little more fluid than like a Contra game.
Yeah.
It reminded me of a Metal Storm mixed with like Contra 3. That's because you can do the whole jump thing.
Those are some great.
It was bizarre cool.
It was kind of more of like a Metal Slug / like I don't know. I don't know how to explain that one where like it cubes off and just follows off.
I loved it.
There's also different level styles too of run and gun where you're like where you're in machines or you're in like a cargo type thing and different style levels as well. Christopher?
A+ for me.
Ooh.
I love this one,
Alright.
and only not an S just because I just didn't play it enough. I have played it, and it is an incredible game. I think there's some others on here that I would probably put as S, so I'm just going to say A+.
like a
It is
high A,
fantastic
I
game.
guess.
And I will say, let me make this clear. On some of these, we're just going to go series, right? We don't
Yeah.
need to be,
Okay,
it's
okay,
not
cool,
like
cool,
Super
cool.
C, or we're just going to go series on
Okay.
some of these.
So like the whole Contra as a whole.
yes.
Yeah.
Curtis, between 1 and 10 or 1 and 9?
3.
Okay, this is one right here. This was on a lot of those lists that I was hesitant to put on, but the more I looked at it, I'm like, this does feel like a little bit more of a run and gun. Chris?
I love Vector Man.
Let's go!
Yeah, Vector Man is bad. It is so good. On the ranking scale, though, I'd give it a solid A.
Okay.
Not
Nice.
the best, but I would say way up there. A for me.
Ricky?
Nice. I really enjoyed it, so I'm gonna give it a B. It was a great game. Great game.
I'm a solid B on it too. I love the music on it. It's very dreary. The game isn't colorful by any means. It's not going to brighten your Nintendo wanting spirits. It's very Sega. Interesting sound effects.
Yeah, that's where
The guy kind of like talks but doesn't. It's like weird noises. Like you're almost like, is he talking? Is he not? Are they using voice samplings? I put it at a B though. I know some of the secrets in this game too, which have always made it fun. Me and my cousin Chris Brown, by the way.
What was the opening scene one?
There was a TV on top, and you could shoot it.
That's right.
There's
you had
a
to do
TV
a
up top.
code to get it.
I don't remember if it was the code or if it was like shoot it at a certain angle a certain amount of times, but yes, there was
Something opening scene.
There's an opening
Yeah.
screen with the TV that has a code.
I'm a C on this. Because I know some of the other games on this list. I'm gonna say C, just because I did not like the sound effects of that gun.
Oh, I liked it.
No, it
Yeah, it's
just
like a-
sounded so like I don't know how to explain. Like kind of
Hollow.
staticky
Yeah.
almost.
Well, that also kind of is the Sega Genesis. It has that twangy sound. So you said C, I said B, B, A. So that's like a B. That's a B. All right, I'm going to just grab one at random. Ready, boys?
Yep.
Here we go. Bum, ba, da, ba. Alien Hominid. I'm going straight to Ricky because I see his face. Guys, look at this. I even did this. Ready? Watch
Let me
this.
see.
The gameplay.
Because I knew a couple you might not know.
Dang.
It's been a while. I'm glad.
There you go. Well, while Ricky does it,
All right.
go ahead.
So this is my favorite shooter on the GameCube. It's really good. I love everything about the graphics. Everything's so good. The only thing that I don't like about this game is you can't shoot middle. You can only shoot like straight and up.
It's not
Straight-
eight directional.
It's not 8 directional. Fantastic game. I'll still give it an A because it is so fun.
It's definitely a cool co-op. So I'm on
so
board
good.
with that. But I'm gonna say it's a B for me.
I'm going B as well because, funny enough, I'm very good at these type of games. It was difficult for me. And again, the graphics I think are one of the biggest standouts about this game. I also think it's funny that I found it like for $1 sealed a few years ago and thought nothing of it back then. I was like, Alien
You find
Hominid
out
next.
GameCube, right?
Next
Yeah.
item, yeah, GameCube. But B for me, even though I do love the game. Chris is
I've actually never played this game.
Really?
I've had it many times and I have never played it. And it looks incredible. I would feel bad rating it. I mean, just looking at it, it looks like an A to me. But
Oh, it's fun.
it looks incredible, but
Yeah.
I would feel bad ranking it since I haven't actually played
It's
it.
definitely one that you could play with your son, dude, because it's a co-op.
Yeah?
it's a great co-op.
It is hard
would
though,
play
but
that
it's
with them.
fun.
It's hard. So
Yeah.
we said A, B, B. That's like a B plus right there. All right, ready? Ladies and gents, the Contra series. I mean, we'll let Chris start. I mean, look, he's just like looking like, come on, guys. It's obviously the
Has
S.
to be an S. Yeah, I mean, just from the first one to the second to third. Yeah, S tier. I think it goes without saying.
What's the best one?
I like Contra 1. I like Contra Arcade, but Contra 1 to me was always the best.
Contra Arcade, I don't hear many people shout as one of the betters.
Contra Arcade was pretty good. It was like the first one, but better graphics.
I liked how the side of the arcade too is just like the like girl like looking like kind of safari with like a little crop top, like nothing
I
to do
don't
with Contra.
remember the side of it.
Oh, I did
Remember?
as a kid.
Yeah, Contra 1 is my favorite. And well, Super C was good too. But I like Contra 1.
I think Super C was better than Contra.
Yeah, it was pretty good because of the graphics.
Whispered it.
Nobody heard that. Yeah.
Ricky?
Yes,
After?
You said
S for
S.
me. S.
It's gonna go to an S. Like I enjoyed the first 4, but after that, once they got like into like the PlayStation and all that stuff, I wasn't enjoying it as much. I was like,
Ricky,
Yeah.
leave it to PlayStation to ruin something good.
Chris is over here heartbroken.
but I still gave it an S because of those first 4. That's the only reason. If we were going like full blown series, I'd be like, all right, it's a solid A.
S plus plus
Yeah.
plus.
Yeah.
Contra 1, Super C. Contra 3, The Alien Wars. Contra Hardcore on the Genesis.
So
Contra
hard.
DS. Unreal games. I mean, those are some of the best games. When you ask any bro, like just dude who's never played video games in 20 years, and you're like, dude, did you play Nintendo? You're like, dude, what did you play there? Contra. I played Contra.
What about Contra Force though?
It's the lag on that is rough.
Oh,
That
lag
one
exists?
I only played it a couple times, but that one was pretty clunky, wasn't
Well,
it?
it's technically, you know,
very.
it wasn't a Contra game, correct?
Yeah.
No. What
So
was it?
it's almost like the same thing as Doki Doki Panic and Mario 2. It was a different game. They wanted the success of Contra to carry on. Hey, we have this other game with 4 characters. Let's slap Contra on there. Now it's Contra Force.
Because it was I can barely remember it. I've only played it a couple times. It's pretty clunky, right?
It's slow. It's very laggy.
Slow, yeah.
It's not a Contra.
I wouldn't say it's even necessarily bad. if you played it in its own right without the Contra branding. Like
Right.
if you were just a kid and picked it up, you'd be like, oh, this is fun. This is cool. I like it. But knowing it's a Contra game, obviously it pushes it down because comparative to what we had.
Yeah.
I think that's the only one that drags it down. That and the PlayStation ones, but everything else is pretty good.
Yeah.
Still ask
They
for
announced a
me.
brand new one.
Did
Coming.
they?
Brand new coming. Yep. Switch, they announced it during Nintendo Direct. Brand new one. Contra Hardcore, though. Maybe one of the
Is
best.
it going to be a side-scrolling one?
Yeah.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
that would be amazing.
Side scrolling. Yep.
I was never good at this game, I guess. More of the mechanics of it was kind of difficult for me. I mean,
Don't you
I
dare.
Oh, yeah,
love.
Oh, you mean the perfect mechanics of Contra?
I
dare,
love
Curtis.
the game, but I mean,
Which
I'm just
one?
gonna say it's gonna be an A for me. I like the first one. I just
I've never seen us all genuinely together be annoyed at someone's answer.
Dude,
it's because you
I
guys are
just
all
looked
hungry.
over
I
and,
knew it.
and normally,
Because it's not the S on my list. I only want to save my S for my S.
normally when one of us like doesn't, we're like, yeah, dude, just say your opinion. It's fine. On this one, he said it, and we're all just like,
Dude, but did I say it's like a N64 DF over here? Chris?
yeah, shake your head with me. Everybody, for shame, Curtis.
It's just
right
not
now.
gonna be. It's just not gonna be on my S tier. That's all.
It's
it is.
still in
I
the
got a
S.
lot of love for bringing down
it
the
still made it to S.
N64. I don't think you're going to get much love on Contra.
It's fine. I still said it was an A. It's all right.
It's good.
All right, this one was a
Should've
little
Just not
rough.
my S.
This one was a little hard for me to throw in there, but it classifies Russian attack.
This one's garbage
Arca-
too.
I actually like this game.
No.
Freaking kid over here.
Dude, this one's garbage where it's just like you're just going straight up shooting different things. No way.
This one is clunky to me, but it's not nearly as good as Contra. But I do like it.
Oh yeah, it's not nearly as good. But
Yeah. I would give it a C, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I had a tough time with it.
Hard
playing.
D for me. Get it?
I like Russian attack. One of my more favorite memories as a kid, not necessarily going into actual gameplay. Do love the music on it though. But as far as gameplay, but as far as nostalgia, it's up there. I go a B on it. My nostalgia is pushing it up pretty high. I still enjoy the game. My brother that are listening are probably like, you idiot, that's an A, but
Yeah,
I'm going to
I
go
like
B. Ricky?
C for me as well.
Okay.
Yeah, D.
So D,
one's-
C.
Hated it.
B.
B.
So that's barely a C.
B.
Yeah.
Wow, you guys suck. All right, here we go. We'll stick with Nintendo for now. Akari Warriors, a loved franchise. The third one, by the way, has some of the best box art on the NES.
It did.
I'll just jump in because I was already talking. I love Akari Warriors. It's vertical, by the way, run and gun. You move vertically. I love it. I have so many memories jumping in the tanks, blowing each other up. Me and my cousin were obsessed with this game. This is an A for me, actually. It's an SNK game.
Ooh.
Super nasty, kid. That's what it stands for. It doesn't stand for that. Chris, what you got?
I really liked the Akari Warriors. I also liked Commando is not on here, right?
It's not.
Commando, like I used to have a Commando arcade machine, which of course is similar to Akari Warriors.
I'm going commando as we speak.
And I do like this. Like Commando is one of my favorites. I used to play that arcade all the time, but this isn't the same
Easy
category.
there, Strider.
I was like, only I can do that.
Only Ricky can talk about something that we're not talking about.
But Akari Warriors, I do like it. I would give it a solid B.
Okay. Ricky?
That's what I was gonna give it. Yeah, solid B. It's a great game, but
Yeah.
compared to like if I had to compare it to Contra or the
Of
other
course.
ones, I'm like, all right, I gotta just drop it down.
I have no vote in this, so don't worry about me. I didn't play it enough. So.
All right. So what do we say? That's.
It's probably a B.
it's like an A
Solid.
minus.
No, I'd say it's lower than that. I think
Lower?
it's like B-ish.
What'd
Yeah.
you give it?
I think I
He
give
gave
it
it
A.
A.
It's a
Yeah.
high B.
I'll just put it right at B. All right, ready?
Yep.
Cuphead, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh,
I can't say this game without clapping. Jumping in, one of the best games I've ever played in my entire life. Gameplay, unreal.
Storyline.
Animation, unreal. Storyline, unreal. Level select, unreal. Weaponry, RPG elements. Music, stupid good. You can watch recordings. Full 32-piece jazz bands of 62-year-old men just going wild. Unreal, beautiful. S+ to the moon. Right up there with Contra.
This was my S
Dang.
tier. Yeah.
All right, now I can't
No,
hate you.
yeah, this is my S tier. That's what I was saving for because I was like, man, that gameplay was unreal. I love the fact that like you could play through the story. It was it was a very difficult
Yeah.
game at first until you no touch it.
For some.
But for me, it's my S tier for sure.
Let's go, Curtioso. Christopher?
I loved it. It was very hard. I wish I was better at it. I'm still amazed when you say you like no death beat this. No hit beat it.
Yeah, no death.
It's incredible that you did that, because I actually struggled with this game, and I considered myself pretty good at shooters. But it was beautiful for all the reasons you said. Would I put it above Contra? In my opinion, no.
You can go
I'd
A,
have
bro.
to go A.
Okay,
I'd go A.
no worries.
But it was a great game.
Yeah.
Oh, S tier. This
Let's
was like
go.
the first game where I actually felt like I was the cartoon, like making the cartoon move. I was like, my God, this is so good.
Yep.
It was
Yeah.
just, everything was good. It was just the perfect amount of hard. It wasn't too hard,
Yeah.
but it was good.
Yeah, like I think that's the greatest. It's playing a 1930s Disney animated
Yes.
to the core from every movement. So that puts it high up there. That's
Yeah.
almost. It's just a little below Contra.
Yeah, no, I
You
think
guys
they're
were all S's.
No,
was
I
A,
think that,
huh?
yeah, they're all the same.
I think the only thing for me why I
they're
would
the
say
same.
They're both the
Contra
same.
to me is better. Just the theme. I
Yeah.
would take a Contra like military theme over the.
Got it.
Disney
Over
theme,
the Soldier Soul to the Devil gambling.
which is pretty good theme. Yeah, I know it's a pretty good theme.
Yo, those
Come on, man,
commenters
it's
are
pretty good.
hilarious.
Yeah, pretty
Those
good.
commenters are hilarious. The ones that are like, dude, Gabbo's wearing a satanic shirt. Those
Someone
ones
said that?
Yeah, I was
Oh,
like,
no.
oh man, that's crazy.
Hey, it's all right. We love Gabbo. He got saved. All right, here we go.
the man.
Metal Slug, the series.
Ooh.
So
I
good.
played this with Ben on the Neo Geo the other day, and I absolutely loved it.
So good.
I loved it. I would say for me, S. That's another S
Let's
for
go.
me.
Double
It was
S.
a-
courteous.
dude, it was
My
an awesome
man.
arcade game. Oh, dude, it was just fun all the way around. So.
Solid A for me. One of my favorite things about it too is the sound design. When you hit heavy machine gun,
Oh my God.
rocket launcher, shotgun. It's just so. It's one of the aspects of it too that I think that raises it above. I definitely grew up playing it arcades.
Yeah.
That's kind of the preferred method for me to play, which isn't normal for me for most of these type of games. But definitely an A. Beautiful game.
For me, this is my S++ tier.
Is this your above
Snap.
Contra?
It is above Contra for me, because I think
Whoa.
it took Contra and it actually it is just such a flawless, amazing game.
Thank
The end
you.
bosses are
Yo,
so
that is good.
I love the little dudes that you save, but just the guns and the different weaponry that you could get. And I've owned several Neo Geo cabinets over the years.
Yeah.
I've had Metal Gear 1, 2, 3,
Rich.
6, X.
Subtle.
Well, no, through the stores. Not when I was younger. I didn't have Neo Geo.
Must
cabs.
be nice to be white.
But whenever I play this game, like, and I'm playing it without having to dump quarters in it, so it's just endless amounts of deaths. I mean, if you were playing this in an actual arcade,
Oh,
what
yeah,
an
brutal.
absolute quarter gobbler it must have been.
Yo, that's a new one.
But,
The
like-
quarter gobbler.
Oh my gosh! Like you would,
Yeah, dude,
in
that
order
was
to beat
insane.
this game, you would probably have to go through like $100 to beat this. I feel like
There should be a guy that should start a YouTube channel called that, and he should go through every game in the arcade, and the end of every video is how many quarters it took him to beat it.
I mean, on the several
Wow.
times we've beaten Metal Slug, when you get to the
Shouldn't have
end,
said that out loud.
Cut that out.
when you get to the end boss, it is just constant deaths. You're literally just hitting the button like almost as fast as you're hitting the button to shoot. You're hitting the button like every 30 seconds.
you're like
to,
grenading and
Give me
shooting at the
another
same
guy.
time.
Give me another guy. It's just constant deaths. Blah blah blah. It's like
Blah blah
yeah,
blah.
it's just insane. But I've always loved this, and I do feel it's a little bit better than Contra. In my
Ricky?
opinion. S plus plus.
It's a solid A for me. It's really, really good. I love the fact that you can select your player on this. I always love picking the guy with the big glasses. I'm like, yeah, man.
It's
I
just
need
below
this
those
guy.
two. Yep.
You know what? Perfect lead in, Ricky, to being able to select your characters. Sunset Riders, which we've technically ranked this before in the world of Konami, and it
Yeah.
won. Did you rank
win.
that one? No, you weren't a part
No,
of that.
I wasn't a part of it.
So we already know where this is going. For those who missed our Konami episode, but I could not put Sunset Riders on the
Yeah,
run and gun.
it's so good.
But I did end up playing. I told you last podcast.
Okay,
Remember?
then there's a wrench. Hold on.
No.
Before it landed, what? Don't say no. Before it landed as a solid top tier triple S.
Yeah.
But Curtis hasn't played it at the time, so now your vote matters.
No, I really liked it. I liked the storyline of it. I told you in the last podcast that I was like, I love the directional shooting. I love being able to go through the saloon. It just reminded me it was just like, this is a really decent, really good game. Not decent. That was, let me take
Oh,
that back.
decent.
But
Go on.
See, decent.
I do that, huh?
Where's it land?
I would say it lands on an A for me.
Okay.
It doesn't go over Metal Slug, doesn't go over Cuphead, so
So
for me, it's
triple
A.
S and A. That's so right now. Contra, Cuphead, and Sunset Riders is tied. Now I put gameplay of this next one because I have a feeling none of you guys have played it, but I had to put this in here. This is a game. called Blazing Chrome.
That's great.
Have you played this, Chris?
I have not.
Okay. Well, check this.
What was it
This
on?
is the most Contra hardcore,
PS4 Switch. I think.
Contra looking game, and it is, for those of you audio listeners, pull up some gameplay of it. It is such a good game. Oh, I have to skip. They did an awesome epic 80s intro. So basically, it's a new game that it's very similar to Contra and Contra Hardcore. It has the perfect feel. This might be a big old long cutscene of it. Go figure. Oh, here we go. Check this out.
That looks
Check this out. Ready for this? Look at this, Curtis. Game. All of you people who are on audio, just look at some of it.
Just like Contra.
It is such a good, well-made
good.
game. It is a beautiful game. The soundtrack is there. It kicks butt. This game reminds you of an 80s epic movie. It's an absolute S.
And it's on PS4?
PS4, Switch. You could get it on, PC
I'm
streaming.
literally gonna
Hopefully
go
I get
home
on
and
Steam.
download
I'm going to try it out.
Dude, I'm telling you, you will not. The minute you put it in, you're going to be like, oh, shoot, this is a good game.
I feel like this is one of those games that got the Switch started with all the indie games that they're like, all right, if this game could work, then we can create like all these other ones, and it did. It's so good because it was early on.
They sent me to a press kit for it, which is awesome, by the way, which I gave to my brother. They gave me a press kit, and you play the game out of like a bullet. It's a bullet with a flash drive on it. It has all this cool stuff. Absolute S for me. Ricky, you're the only one in this room that's played it. What do you put it at?
I put it in S. It's so good. I used to go to your house. There were levels we couldn't beat. So you'd literally pause, take a break, and I'd start trying to beat it.
So I technically, Russian Attack is at the bottom at a C. I don't want to give Blazing Chrome above the other ones because only Ricky and I voted. So technically it was all S's, but it doesn't really count because it's just us two.
Yeah.
So really the top tier games in this, Contra, Cuphead, Sunset Riders, and Blazing Chrome. Again, their Metal Slug is right there.
Slug didn't make it.
Let's
did
be
you give
real.
it, S?
I gave it an S, but they gave them two A's.
2 A's.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah.
But come on, we're complaining about SSAA. Like, that is some good stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's quality ranking right there.
Hands to run and gun games?
Yeah.
Childhood.
Alrighty, guys. We're going to go on to our next topic. It's going to be stop getting into debt over video games.
Ooh, Ricky, how you doing today?
In debt.
Are you ready for another intervention?
Soon. Not yet.
Not yet.
I got to buy another lot first.
Oh, okay. So, Curtis, this was, who brought up this topic, by the way?
I just did.
Great
for
one.
me.
No, I meant like who came up with this topic. Was it you?
I think it was me. Yeah.
That's a good one. Stop going into debt over collecting. And I think this is an interesting one, right? Because let's say this. There's things you can hate on in the collecting scene, right? We talk about a lot, resellers get hate, scalpers, whatever, whether it's justifiable or not. We've talked about hoarding can have some hate. But we never really talk about the actual debt or problem people go into when they're not just hoarding, right? Hoarding's a different issue. Like, well, you don't have room for this stuff. What are you doing buying it? What are you doing? Sometimes the real question is, I know you technically can buy that because you just did on a credit card or however you bought it. Curtis is going poop. You getting a big poop out, Curtis? Oh, get it out, baby. He's going to go poop. People sometimes will go into actual debt buying things, right? And there's a difference when you're reselling because you can, re-incur that money. You can sell this stuff. You can remake the money back.
Yeah.
Dude, did you even wipe?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, we're back.
Okay. You can make that money back. But I'm more speaking to, and hopefully we don't get, hey, I'm more speaking directly to the collectors that I know. And I know a lot of people are going to say, well, there's not a lot of people like that. There's not. I know a lot of people who are collectors who go into debt and spend money they absolutely do not have.
Yep.
Right? When their family needs something, right? And that's a problem. That's a real problem, right? You're not intentioning on reselling. You're not going to flip it back. You're just, no, I want to collect it, but I know we're struggling to pay rent,
Yeah.
right? We see it
A lot.
What are your thoughts on that? Christopher, who's looking at me so serious.
Well, I mean, my thoughts on debt is there's always good debt. There is not all debt is bad.
Of course.
Right? Like if
A home.
you go to buy a home, that would be considered good debt.
Yes, it's good debt.
If you bought a car, typically considered bad debt, although you need a car.
Yes.
What about
But
school loans?
School loans you might categorize as good debt, if
that's
but
bad
not
debt.
always. I mean,
I'll tell you what, I worked in a nuclear plant with a bunch of men,
Bad
like
debt,
17 men
100%.
around me who all had engineering degrees. And they're like, yeah, we're talking about debt. And I was like, that's cool. I got the same job as you guys. I got here because of seniority. No school.
Regardless, it's bad debt for me. So,
No, obviously we're not saying it's bad. It
well,
just depends.
typically, like a house is considered good debt because you're buying it as an investment. It's going to hopefully go up in value. It's going to appreciate.
Yep.
right? And then there's lots of other advantages, tax reasons
Right.
and stuff,
Yeah.
why a house might be good debt. Like buying a business might be good debt, right? You're investing in something with the
SoCal
hope
Expo.
of, right. So we incur debt to buy that, right? So there is good debt.
Yes, absolutely.
My take on video games, if you are down to your last like $100, don't go buy video games, unless you're going to flip it right away with that $100.
Now, what about those who aren't on their last 100, but they don't? Okay, let's say this. You're not in your last 100, right? But you don't maybe own a home yet. You don't have a reliable car. You've been wanting to take your wife on vacation for years. She's wanted to go and you can't afford it, but you're still buying the video games.
Well, so I've bought like a lot of video games, of course, over the years. A lot of them through the stores and just from collecting and stuff. Some of that is like instant flip, make money back. But a lot of them I do tuck away, as long-term investments.
Yes, you do.
Right, which I do. So
Speculator.
to me, that's good debt. I feel I can afford to do it. I'm still doing the things you mentioned, so it's not like down to like the wire with it. But a lot of that to me is good debt because I am buying these games with the intention of, okay, this is a long-term hold for me. These are going to be worth more someday.
I get that, but I
As an
want
investment.
the other side.
If you're down
I want
to
them. I'm talking the people because you're a businessman. You have the intent of flipping someday. I'm talking, and again, I'm not talking down on anybody. This
No.
is asking questions that should be asked. I'm talking the guy who's buying, and it'll just sit there, and he doesn't care. He just wants it there because he wants it there.
Yeah, like where's the line drawn between like wanting a video game and
Why don't we
your
ask Ricky?
and your financial security?
Look at
And
Ricky-
just
Ricky
to finish-
fidgeting.
I would just say, just to finish that, yeah,
Yeah.
if you're down to the wire on it, like you should not be incurring that debt. It should still be disposable income, meaning it's extra money that you have that isn't going to break the
If it's
bank.
your hobby,
Right.
If it's just a hobby.
And even if it is a hobby / investment, any of the collectible stuff should be like ancillary income that you have.
Yes.
It's everything else comes first. Now I can maybe go spend some
Yeah,
money.
and
on it.
like if,
Shouldn't be a
if,
number
if
one
your hobby's
priority.
golfing and your family's struggling, then maybe cut back on the golfing. It could be anything.
Right.
It doesn't have to be.
It
just
should
games.
be family, food in my mouth, rent, bills. Okay, all that's covered. Now maybe I have some extra money.
Yes.
That's my opinion on it.
Yes. Now let's ask everybody. Moment of silence before Ricky. Curtis looks like he wants to kill somebody. What the heck? I just looked over. He was giving Ricky the death eye.
I was literally not trying to yawn. That was my thing. I was
Are you
like,
tired, bro?
Huh? Yeah, dude, I'm a working man.
So are we. No, okay, go ahead, Ricky. Let's hear it.
I mean, here's the thing with me is I don't do credit cards because I'm scared of credit cards.
Oh,
but
nice.
the guys I see are the ones that are doing the credit cards. That scares the heck out of me because there's no way. Like, I mean, we've seen it a couple of times where there's dudes that literally max out their credit cards. They do all that stuff. And then at the end of the day, they're like, "Oh shoot, I need to make bills." They start selling those games for cheaper than what they bought it for, so they're putting themselves in even worse debt.
And
I mean, I've probably done that a couple times.
Yeah, and
too,
I
but
bet
no,
you
no
it's-
not credit card wise. I'll just like pick up games here and there, but
That is bad debt.
that's
yes,
bad,
because you got to think
bad
about
debt.
it. You're paying on credit card, but you're also probably getting like a 20% APR like increase on that interest.
And-
So it's like $200, and you're getting another $25 out of that every month.
Yeah,
That is the worst debt you could ever have.
Not-
in my opinion, just to hop in on that, and I'll let you keep going. But like credit card debt, first of all, I have no personal credit card.
Same.
If I don't have the money to buy
Good debt, though.
something,
yeah.
right? If
On
I don't,
home.
yeah, no, that's good debt. That's
Yeah.
totally different. But credit cards, like if I don't have the money to go buy something, I'm not going to borrow from somebody else to go buy this thing, unless of course it's a home or something. That's different.
Yes.
But just day to day, like something like that, I would not use a credit card ever for that. I would only buy something like that if I had that money myself to do that.
Yeah.
To me, that's really bad debt.
Yeah. No, that's true.
I was talking to our
Is this you that you're talking about?
No, go.
a friend of mine. His name's Jicky on the channel pixelgamesquad.
After I said that, Ricky just goes, "Yeah, that's bad." So I'm like, "Oh shoot,
I
is
have
that
one
you, Rick?"
credit card, and that's it. And I think it's only $1,000, and I'm like, I don't use it.
Really?
card.
Really? I mean, there are ways of managing credit. It's just, are you using it for certain things the right way,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like for me, like if I'm using a credit card, I know I'm going to pay it off at the end of the month because I'm saving 4% on a purchase, right? There are ways of it. And then when you have a credit line, it like over time, when you have more credit and more years on it, it'll make it more available for you to get a loan or something like that. For me, in my age, it's crucial to have credit because right now you're like buying a home is not a thing.
Yeah.
So like they want to see longevity of how long you've had that credit and make sure that you are punctual on your payments.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
I just have always felt like the credit cards that there's a reason why they're always everywhere you go to Home Depot.
Yeah.
You want to sign up for a credit card?
Oh, yeah.
Was that
yeah.
Michael's
They're
the
in
other
it to
day.
win,
You want
bro.
our
Yeah,
Michael's
well,
credit card? I'm like, no, I don't want
Yes,
that.
I was going to buy more arts and crafts next
Yeah.
month.
The reason why they do that is because you're borrowing it and they already know they're going to tax you or put interest on you for 20%.
But they make zero you typically if you pay that off every month. They're always
Yes.
banking on you
Not paying.
being a human being, overspending and
Yeah.
not being able to pay it.
And that's why-
that's their gamble
Yeah.
constantly.
And that's why
to
being your
me,
own bank, it matters, right?
I have always lived by, well, not always, because I got myself into credit card debt when I was younger than you, just using credit card all the time and racked up like 10 grand in bills. And then I was like, damn, I can't pay this off. Then I started getting hit with the 20%.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah.
I got paid that thing off, and then I was like, never again. I'm only going to spend money that I have.
I will say
That's
thank you
it.
to my wife ever since we were engaged. We've been together. We've been married almost 18 years, together for years before that. Basically my entire life since I was 16, I've been with her. She has always taken care of the bills, and she has never, ever have we owed anything on a credit card. Except from a home or buying a car, which actually we bought cash last time. Yeah. Hooray for my wife. Thank you, Lord. I'm not being prideful. Thank you. I always feel like that. But she's just been so good with it. She's the same way. She's like, we're not spending on frivolous things unless we have the money to pay for it right now. And that's how she's always been much better than I was. I would have been probably in a ton of debt if it wasn't for her, because I was like, I got money. Video games, Whee!
And you guys did it for 10 years without even selling anything.
Yeah.
So like having financial stability through that time, kudos to you guys. But for me, like if I didn't resell at like 15, I might just be still in student debt and all that stuff.
That's why our show back in the day was like, the big item was like, should I buy this $20 game? I think I'm doing it, Ricky. That was the hype last time.
Yeah, it's just not the same anymore with the cost of living going up and all that
Totally.
stuff. And you can't really buy a house.
Inflation.
And we can't buy a house with blueberries and acorns anymore. Now it's like,
Yeah, bro. Tulips. I think they used tulips back in the day. That's like currency.
Long time ago, yeah.
yeah.
Tulips on.
But I mean, like, you never know, like, how the market's gonna be. That's the only reason why you would want to have good credit. You'd be able to pull the equity out at any time.
Yeah.
But for me, it's like I just want to have a good credit line so that when I do need a loan for that type of stuff, I might be able to acquire that stuff. So
I hear that a lot. Like, well, I should have credit cards, because I need to build my credit.
yes,
I think your credit will be good. If I was a bank and I wanted to come to you and you have never had a credit card, I might still want to lend to you versus the guy that's like, well, I have 5 credit cards and I could go blow all this money. Like having a lot of credit card lines open doesn't necessarily, in my opinion, always be such a good thing.
No, and I'm not saying it is.
You maybe paid it, but I don't know how much it would improve your credit.
yeah. I think it's more.
I could be wrong on that.
I would say more it's on the impact, like, right? So like if you don't have like an annual fee on your thing, that's why I have my credit, because I want to have that available funds to show that like I am smart with it, even though I didn't spend anything.
Well, one thing I've heard they're talking about doing is putting rent on your credit report, which I don't know if that's going to be a thing or not. I had heard about
Dude,
that.
I need it. It's probably more than half your guys' mortgages.
If you're paying your rent and you have a job, that's really what I would think the banks would want to see more than anything. Not that, you have a $5,000 American Express card that you pay off every month. I don't know how much that
And as we
impacts.
continue this topic, let's make it very clear that everyone's financial situations are different. We're not judging you. You should do it this way. My way works. You're younger. You live this way. I live that. Everybody's is different. But the common thread in all this is whatever situation you're in, whether you have money, don't have money, you own a house, you don't, this and that, you need to put due diligence and time into making sure that you're being financially responsible with whatever your situation is. Even if you're making this much compared to the other guy, you still need to learn how to make this much make sense for you.
Oh yeah. And I'm saying it more for like, as in for the viewer and the listener, as in more of an experience fact. Like you guys are all, there was different markets at every year we've aged, right? Like you've had your 2008 recession, then you have now, like, I don't even know what it is now.
I bought during that.
It's like the increase of interest of life right now.
About games.
So one of those things that's just like, I just want to like kind of put like kind of blueberries, tits for tats out there, you know what I mean? Where it's like tits for tats.
Just kidding. It's always such a weird expression. But
I know it, but like one of those things, like what are like some of the recommendations you would have for somebody going into something to be responsible? like when they want to buy games and they might not have the money? Like, how would you like? Would you put them to like a financial advisor, or how would you go about it?
I would say before you even go into a financial advisor, you need to look at life as it depends on your situation, if you're single, whatever it is. But I always look at it like, try not to be selfish when you're thinking when it comes to money, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of times our first response is, well, I want, or I would like, right? As married guys, I would like, well, hold on. Before you say I would like, what we would like, my family would like, what would benefit. I think there's so much into that'll help set you back from being like, well, I really want this new Nintendo game just because I want it, right?
Yeah.
I really want it though. You don't get it. Like I never get the chance to buy this game for $2,000. Like I never get the chance. It's one of the rarest games. I really want it, but is it the time?
Yeah.
Is it the time? If it's not the time, go emulate the freaking game. To hold you over. But if it's about the item, you have to make sure that it makes talk to your family for big, decisions. I fear for any man who makes a decision like that without, telling, the significant other, which I think Ricky,
Yeah,
Ricky, that's what a marriage is, bro. You're married as one, dog.
I mean, it only happened once.
What was it? Which one? I'm sure I've done it too. Don't worry, I'm not judging. You didn't tell her about the Mario statues? That's like the most obnoxious. That's probably the most obnoxious thing you could have showed up with without telling her. Because it's not like, honey, I bought this $5,000 mouse and it won't be in the way. But you come home with statues that are 4 feet tall.
But he also had me in his ear. I'm like, dude, you're not gonna have another chance of this.
Idiot.
But here's the thing: sometimes you do have to take that chance.
Yo, hey, I was with Ricky.
Curtis isn't financial advice.
Dude,
Just do it.
dude. This was one of those things. I was like,
Here's
if
my
Ricky
credit
didn't do it,
card.
I was like, I'll do it.
Ricky, I'm in serious debt and struggling, but dude, that would be a good decision.
Yeah.
And here's
Hey,
my-
that's
here's
good
my-
debt though.
That was the
Here's
first
my
time
credit
that I
card.
wasn't in like because me and him, we for the longest time I only had $30-$40 for the swap. That was
Oh yeah,
it.
that was us for
the
like
whole weekend.
That was like early marriage though. I
Yeah.
mean, that's how it works.
Yeah, so I mean, we finally got like that little push. Like I finally make that extra income. So I after I got him, I had explained to her like, listen, this is almost like an investment because these things, I mean, they go up in price, right?
That's what gamblers say.
All right.
No, like, hey, if I know you might have the opportunity to sell one, bro. So this
That's true.
is me pushing my finger on you a little.
But it didn't break the bank for you.
No.
It's not like you're going to lose your house.
No,
So
they didn't eat for like 6 months, but they're fine now.
I want a cup of noodle for a year, but I'm good.
She was having cup of noodles.
But
last
I would
time.
say it was still within your means then.
It was
I
still
think
within
that
my
would be the thing, buy stuff and collect within your means. If you're going on credit cards and maxing out credit cards, you're probably not collecting within your means.
Yeah.
And that's the most important thing. That don't take on bad debt, which is again credit cards would be the worst. To buy for a hobby.
Yeah.
It's just not the best decisions in my opinion.
And again, respectful to everyone out there, whatever situation you're in, that life is this for everybody. So
Yep. And I just wanted to reiterate it. Just be as responsible as you can be. I mean, it's obviously your life. Make your decisions.
Yeah.
But you know what? Don't go into debt over it.
yeah, don't go into debt over it.
But all right. So we're going to go into our next topic, how anime has integrated into retro gaming scene. And this is a Chris topic. So,
Dun, 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 dun. So why? No, I was kidding.
so I know, Chris, you wanted to bring up this topic with seeing an increase of anime fans going into events.
I think we should explain it a little more first before we jump in too much. Basically, yes, retro gaming conventions is a big part of the scene. There are more and more retro conventions now bringing an anime into it. And I will say from a collector's perspective, someone who's not an anime, so I'm obviously biased, most of the collectors I talk to are like, hey, that's wasted space over there. Not saying that that's true, right? For the anime, people are like, sweet, we got more stuff. So it just depends who you're talking to.
Yeah.
So how are you juggling that with Retro World Expo, maybe seeing what other expos are doing? I know we have SoCal coming up. We've had our own talks about it, which we could talk about. But like seeing like, do you feel a actual demand for it within the scene? Do you see it changing, or are you like, hey, yeah, I see it or I don't see it, but I have no intentions of even bringing that in because I want to be collectors, video games?
So, Retro World, we've been running for 9 years now. And certainly like 9 years ago, we probably would have even been having this discussion. Not that anime wasn't around. Mm-hmm. What I think I've seen over the last maybe 4 or 5 years is that there is a lot more anime that you're seeing at these gaming conventions. And we've had these discussions with Retro World and again with SoCal as to like, how much anime do you want there? And we have a fair amount of anime that comes in. And first of all, I have nothing against anime.
Totally.
I like
Yeah, yeah,
anime
yeah.
a lot. I've watched plenty of shows. But we always were founded on it being like a retro gaming convention.
Yeah.
And what I've seen over the years, and this actually goes back to some other conventions, that the anime, it tends to perhaps take over the show, where it becomes more of an anime show than even a retro gaming show. So I think the real question is like, do they complement each other? Absolutely. You know, and is there a huge demand for anime? There is. Do you sacrifice the retro gaming or the gaming in general by introducing a lot of anime to your show? In other words, does it almost like take over the whole show once you open up the floodgates to anime? So being a show owner, and you guys being a show owner now, it's kind of like, do you want to stay true to being a gaming, even maybe a retro gaming or just gaming? Maybe it's modern gaming that you want to have. And how much anime do you want to have come in?
Yeah, because there is a lot of crossover between anime art and just the overall games aspects of it. So, I mean, like, because you got a lot of JRPGs from, like, earlier PlayStation games, and you got, like, Yu Yu Hakusho was, like, its own thing on
even
Game Boy.
Pokemon.
Yeah, Pokemon is another, like,
anime.
Yeah.
small anime aspect of it.
I think what's hard for me is, again, I'm not into anime, right? So we don't even have to necessarily say anime. It could be anything, right? That moves alongside video games, right? Because anything really in nerd culture kind of is encompassing, right? It could be video games,
comics,
superhero stuff, comics, anime, cartoon shows, Saturday morning cartoons, any of that stuff. So really it's about, for me, the reason I would never lean into it is because I am not passionate about anime in any way. Again, no hate. I'm just not passionate about it. So I could find myself, if I allowed it to kind of start creaking in, I feel like I'd be less excited to put on a show, right? I'd be less excited to talk to the vendors of selling it. I feel like I'd be less intelligent. Like, right, when I talk to game collectors, right, being a game collector for so long, when we do the show, coming up, we get to talk to the people as intelligent people alongside them. Yeah. Hey, how are you going to set up this? What about this? Oh, maybe that should go in the back. Chrono triggers this. Oh, we'll have an event for this. Oh, because, I know Smash Bros. Does really well. Do you guys want original GameCube controllers on hand? Anybody want Wavebirds? Versus if it's anime stuff, I'd be less intrigued to want to talk to the vendors in the community. I'd almost be like hiding from them because I'd almost feel like a fraud, even though I know it's not what it is. But like, I don't know this scene, but I'm putting on this scene for you guys, but I have no investment into it at all. Mentally, physically, anything.
Yeah, so I know that would be like one of your drawbacks from it, but what would be one of the benefits of adding anime?
Money.
Yeah.
I'll tell you the main benefit.
Money.
And I think why you see some shows doing this is anime is obviously, it's massive.
Massive. Yeah, the Anime Expo in Los Angeles was
one of the biggest.
Huge. I think they had like 80,000.
I think they
I
think they oversold that by too much. Like, it was just claustrophobic is what I've heard.
Yeah, so, and it just has a massive, super diehard following. And there's another reason why it's attractive to a lot of shows too, is it's a younger audience. Us being older, is...
Just kidding.
Well, getting a little bit older now, like the retro gaming community.
Yeah.
I'm in my 40s. Like, how long will we be attending shows? I mean, you could look at comic conventions, and certainly there's been a long-standing, like, people wanting to go to, say, a New York Comic Con or a San Diego Comic Con that have been around for forever. But even if you go to those shows, how much of it is actually comics? That has retracted smaller and smaller and smaller. There's still... Last time I was at New York Comic Con, I want to say was like 5 years ago. There was still a good amount of comics there, but there's a lot of other stuff there.
Yeah.
They become more of a multicultural fandom geek show.
I like crossover.
Yeah, and I like crossover too.
But not to where take crossover versus takeover.
And I'm not going to name any shows, but there have been a few shows that I have seen that have started off with, let's be a multi-genre show where we have comics, games, and anime.
Like a nerdcon type of thing.
And I've seen them over the years morph into more or less just an anime show. Lost touch with the video games, lost touch with the comics even. I've seen them try to get back into wanting to have more of that.
It's too late, Sally.
But it might be too late. Now, again, the money reason, like, you could look at like a retro gaming show and say, well, you know what? Why don't we just introduce anime and, call it such and such anime and gaming. we'll get a ton more people in. But all of a sudden, does the gaming go like this? And I'm retracting, to almost nothing.
And it's hard.
Does it take over?
We're so integrated into the retro people. That's what we do. There's no shame in being like proud of what your thing is. Ours is retro, right? We hear it.
Oh, yeah.
From people, right? We've heard like, oh man, that's like your people, right? You're defending your people. Like, where's the games at, bro? Like, I came here for games. Like, so you're almost like, I want to like be like the stronghold of like, we're gonna sell 10 million retro games at SoCal Expo, like Braveheart style out with it. I'm curious of your opinion though, Ricky. You haven't said much.
I mean, here's the thing. I love I like Dragon Ball Z,
You do?
Pokemon. I love all that stuff. But to me, like that stuff, they actually made video games for. So I almost feel like it would belong into it. But like the newer stuff, it's just so it has nothing to do with gaming. It's almost more adult, if anything. Like
the manga
all
style.
the anime, like the manga stuff. I can't take my kids to the expo like that. And I love sharing that with my kids. Like I want to take them to the expo, not have to worry about
You just hit something huge on the head.
Yeah,
I mean,
because it becomes not family friendly.
How do you as like an owner, how would you be able to regulate that? Because a lot of anime is on the manga side where it is.
I would tell them.
Exposing.
You show any of that stuff and you're out of here, dude. I want kids here.
Yeah.
I want families to feel welcome. And I want this to be a place I love. We say our favorite things are when we see kids into retro gaming.
Yeah.
I don't want a kid's first experience to be seeing Yu Nipple Show or something.
Yeah.
Yo, watch your mouth. Don't you ever mess with Yu Yu Hakusho.
Yeah, no, I'm not literally hating
I know. I get what you're saying, but
see it. It's like,
don't you ever mess with that one.
It also makes, again, we're not hating on any group. It could be anything in the world. Even hookup skateboards can come off that way, right?
Yeah. Like, and I love hookup skateboards.
So do I. I tried to buy a shirt the other night from Drew, but I couldn't get it.
Those shirts are like $350.
I know, that's why. I was tapped out at like $250. But it does make the event feel a little different, right? Even when you walk by a booth, and we've recently did that. We walked by a booth and this guy had tons everywhere. And he had to put like duct tape over it and this and that, like adults only. And it just kind of gave off a vibe that I wasn't like, it doesn't feel the same, right?
Yeah.
It's almost like, a dumb example, like Nintendo, like, yeah, everything's welcome, and it just feels like everybody fun. And then I saw it, and I was like, ooh, it felt seedy.
Yeah, I guess
I almost like didn't want to look when I walked
I
by.
haven't had to deal with that too much. Like at Retro World, I think what we've tried to do, and with SoCal, we might try to do this as well, where it's like 80% retro gaming.
Yes.
And there'll be a few. There's always going to be some anime, and I love our anime vendors. The art
guys too.
The art guys and the artists that come to the show are awesome, and some of their anime art is amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah, and it's not like I go through and go, okay, well, we're only going to allow 5 anime guys. It's just it kind of naturally, I think, is dictated by the show owners. Like, okay, we are a gaming show.
Yes.
Anime fits perfectly with this.
Yes.
We have some comic book vendors that come and do awesome at the show and love having some comic books there as well. So they certainly do complement it.
A lot of the manga it's out there, and it's.
Do you ever get into any trouble with cosplay?
I never have. I mean, you're never going to try to control that. I've never heard of any shows having to ever control that.
I won't name names just for the sake of naming names, but we saw one recently where it literally signs everywhere, cosplay is not consent, which they probably had to put those up because people were probably getting gropey.
Yeah. Now, as a show owner, would you ever like go up to somebody and say that's inappropriate? You're not allowed to dress like that. I don't know. I probably
maybe that's maybe that's something that you'd have to like clarify in the ticket buying process.
Just like any common decency, we get that obviously 90% of if you're dressed up as Melina from Mortal Kombat, it's going to look a certain way, which is fine. But I think when it comes into the level of people pushing the boundaries a little bit too much, where you're like, okay, that's borderline.
Look, I'm all for like the creative aspect of it, the cosplay and all that, but like there is limits to it, right?
It has to
I
be
think we're talking two different things. Yeah, one is like the manga, which is actually more like porn.
Yes, that's what.
Actual.
But a lot of anime
that's what I mean.
Is that like the majority is that like when I think of like gaming convention to anime, like I think of like back in the day when Nintendo had their kid friendly. You see the convention, it's kids and like
the old E3s and everything.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say
like Sega when they had their conventions. Like it was like, I don't know.
As an anime fan, I wouldn't say the majority of it is. It's definitely a very specific genre of anime. That's all it is. It's just maybe you'd have to regulate it a certain way to where it's like the animation type of anime is the one you're kind of looking for, right? Like,
Yeah, and we haven't had any issues with that. We do with Retro World. I've always marketed it as like no XXX stuff. It's not allowed.
Yeah, there you
Okay,
go.
yeah,
Platform. But I think,
None with VHS, no DVDs across anything. No comic books can be explicit, so none of that stuff is allowed. But from generally most of the anime vendors,
Yeah.
I haven't seen that. You were mentioning that you have, but
we've seen it.
oh, you
We've
saw
seen
it?
We've seen it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
we've
haven't
seen it.
seen that.
And even there is some cosplay too. Where, again, I'm all for cosplay. I think it's
Yeah.
awesome. But even certain ones. But there are some where I'm like, that's borderline walking porn. Some of
Yeah.
them. Not like, I get it. In half the Nintendo characters, the Sega, they're
Yeah.
sexy on some of them, the way they look, Laura Croft, whatever. But some of
Cammy.
them, I'm like,
Cammy.
yeah. But some of them push it a little harder. I'm like, dude, if you turn
Yeah.
at the wrong angle,
you're gonna be
little
commando
kids are
like
gonna,
riff.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
going to see what, isn't meant for children to see.
And I get it. There's definitely a fine line, and I think that like as you guys finally get the expo up and running, you guys are kind of figure out like where that balance is.
Yeah.
But I was just wondering, like maybe like the integration of larger shows. It seems like the only benefit to anime at the moment has been a larger, younger crowd coming in, right?
Yeah, and if you are a part of that community, it's a huge benefit for you. We never want to.
Yeah.
We're not. This isn't
Yeah.
us attacking
no.
the community, attacking attacking anime, any scene. It's just saying us almost like holding our scene and making sure. And it could go vice versa. If you're an anime expo and we come in and we're like, "Hey, dude, this needs it should be 80% games." You'd be like, "Wait, my community though is anime," So that's where the line I think falters a little. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. We can end that on like that, right? So everybody out there, thank you for listening. Yo, everybody listening, I just want to say,
Chris, go. Come on, bro.
Thank you guys for all the support. I just want to say all the audio podcasts will be linked in the description as always. And thank you
your
guys for
pants
being here. Look at these guys just talking
We're
over
just
like
talking over you.
you are the worst.
Yo,
all
we
right.
love you.
All right, put your foot up like Griff always says.
That's
Yeah.
That's good. Oh, that was good.